fantastic. All right, it's loading. And I hope you can see me well. Just adjusting my lighting a little bit. It's loading. Please bear with me. Okay. Fantastic. And we are live on YouTube as well. Excellent. So we're going to give it another minute or two for everyone to gather together. And yeah, in the meanwhile, maybe, let us know where you're dialing in from. Let us know where you're dialing in from. You can use the chat room, both in the Zoom room and also in the YouTube. Let us know where you're dialing in from. So
New Orleans,
I love, seeing
Louisiana.
everyone's faces. So I'm going to mute everyone. Please don't unmute yourselves. All right, fantastic. So let's see the chat room. Okay, from the UK, US, Carolina, England, Germany, Kenya, Canada, Angola, India, Texas, London, Bermuda, California. Fantastic. Excellent. How many of you are here from the continent? Let us know. Khartoum. Many greetings. Egypt. Fantastic. Let's see also who is coming, dialing in from the continent. And a very warm welcome to all of you. This is going to be a great session. And yeah, we shall get started in about 30 seconds. So make sure you have your water and you have switched off every distraction. And we'll get started. Okay. So I'm gonna, let's see first if you can see the presentation. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen. And I like this format, because it allows me to, and allows everyone here to come together as a community. I think it is a very beautiful thing that we can see each other's faces. All right. And let me go on slideshow. Fantastic. Dan, I can see you. Dan, Tate, can you see and hear me? Can you see the slide well? Fantastic. Excellent. All right. So, and we shall also record. All right, so let's get started, everyone. And please don't unmute yourselves. Otherwise, I need to stop the sharing in between. Let me just check if we're recording. Just bear with me. It's just a tech. Yes, we are recording. Okay. Hold on. Okay, fantastic. We're recording. Thank you so much for your patience. And we shall get started right now. So dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, a very, very warm welcome to our live training on how to import from Africa in 5 simple steps. I'm really excited about spending this time with you, and let's dive in straight away. So today we will discuss how to start a profitable African import business in 5 simple steps. So you can start making money importing African agribusiness products into the world, even when a pandemic hits. Now, I want to start this session with a story. And the story is that during one of my last visits to Rwanda, we visited one of the factories that is processing produce, agricultural produce for export. It is processing cassava into cassava flour. Now, we were heading outside of Kigali, about 3 hours outside of Kigali. And after we had been shown around the factory, we then met with some of the cassava farmers who were invited to the factory to speak with us. Now, I do not speak Kinyarwanda, but we had some translators. And, there was an elderly farmer. Maybe I shouldn't say elderly in my age anymore, but he was in his late 60s maybe. And he shared the story that he had been a cassava farmer his whole life. And for the most part of his life, he had been owning and planting on 2 hectares of land. And then he said to us, since this factory was set up in our area about 6 years ago, I managed to go from 2 hectares to 40 hectares. That's 40 hectares in that time. And I'm going to go back and make sure, please don't unmute yourself. So, all right. So that is a beautiful story. And that is the reason why we are here, because this farmer managed to go from 2 hectares to 40 hectares just because there was a factory processing what he's planting and then exporting it into the world. And that really demonstrates how powerful it is, how impactful it is when we, trade African agribusiness goods into the world, and how it will change the lives of the people that are actually producing these products at the very bottom line. And therefore, I want to really dedicate this training session today to the many farmers and herders across Africa who very often, live at the poverty line. And I want you to understand that when you are becoming an importer and you start importing exports from Africa, or you are importing within Africa as part of the intra-African trade, you will impact in significant terms on the lives of others. And in this factory, I want to say also, in this factory, we were surrounded in the warehouse by tons and tons of cassava flour. And I've never seen so much flour in my life. And here's the thing, the factory manager said, we're not shifting enough flour fast enough. And that's where you come in, the Africa Business Jumpstarters. That's the role I want you to take on, so we can build wealth for ourselves while also uplifting the lives of others. So these are some of the products that we will be discussing today. We will be focusing on Africa business products and products that are high in demand in the world, and in particular the West. I want to let you know that everyone can do it, no matter where in the world you're based. You may be based outside of Africa or on the continent, and it also does not matter what your budget is. And I will show you different importing business models that allow you also to get started on a shoestring budget. And again, I will, that's the thing when you go on Zoom. Let me quickly go back to you, and please don't unmute yourselves. I'm going to mute everyone, because if you unmute yourselves, we can't have an interrupted audio. But then that's the price I'm paying to see your faces, so we can come together as a community. Hence, please, again, don't unmute yourself. Thank you so much. All right. So let's go back. Okay, so switch off your mobile phones and let's just focus, because what you're going to learn today, you won't be learning anywhere else, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. First of all, my name is Dr. Harnet. I'm a certified business trainer. I'm an Africa business trainer and consultant, an entrepreneur, speaker, author, a champion for Africa, and a proud mom. My content and my work has been featured on the likes of Forbes Africa, the KLM Air France Africa Business Club, the renowned Africa Business CEO Forum, on BBC Tigrinya, and the Africa Business Conference at Harvard University, where I was leading a panel, and I was also speaking at Google. So I'm just letting you know that I have been, an Africa business trainer and consultant for 6 years now. And I just want to let you know that what you're going to learn today is something really tangible. It is not fluff. It's also not kind of a quick get rich quick scheme, because I'm going to share with you how you can start, a proper business from scratch and how to do it the right way. So as we all know, our world has changed because suddenly we were hit by a pandemic. The continent of Africa was hit, the West, Asia, and for all of us, for those of us in business, for those of us in employment, our lives have changed and have kind of been turned upside down. And that also means that the way we are going to show up in the world has to change. Our employment may not be as safe anymore as we thought it may be. But we also see a major shift in the world happening. And that's what I want to quickly discuss with you, because that is a very important context for why I believe the Africa business model importing from Africa is so relevant and has never been more relevant than it is today. So what we can see really is that I believe we're going to see like a restructuring of, let's maybe call it the world order even. So that means that some countries, will gain in relevance where maybe others will lose in relevance. And we can see this kind of trend and happening across the globe. And the media is very much picking up on that. And it is, of course, very much focusing on China and the change of position of China, which was really the world's hub for manufacturing. And a lot of the supply chains, the global supply chains, have been really depending heavily on China. Now, that is being discussed, and we can already see that companies and businesses worldwide are looking for alternative supply chains. Do you know that about 80% of the world's supply chains came from China? This is crazy, that how many businesses are really depending on China. And that is the case for Africa, but it's also the case for the rest of the world. And now, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of businesses are looking to alternatives. They do not want to depend on a single market. Why? Because they have realized it is a risk to their business. Now, on the contrary, then, we can also see that Africa's position is, being discussed, and we can see that a lot of businesses are looking towards Africa for an alternative. Now, that may not so much apply to goods like, electronics or things like that, technology, but it certainly applies to, certain products that Africa can supply. And here you have an article that says, as coronavirus disrupts supply chains, could Africa profit? And what we see now is a new positioning of the continent of Africa in that context of the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is very, very important for you to understand. Now, what's happening at the moment on the continent is also that, for example, Ethiopian Airlines and Kenyan Airways, just two examples, you know that airlines have been heavily depending, of course, on tourists and business travelers. Now, all of that has been shut down, and we can see airlines being struggling across the world. Now, what these two airlines have done in Africa, they have diverted from transporting people to transporting goods and going into cargo. Now, both of them, Ethiopia Airlines, for example, also they have cargo planes already, but these are usually smaller planes because they were not focusing in their business on the transport of goods. They were rather focusing on the transport of people. And what you can see actually below is a picture of Ethiopian Airlines. And this is a picture, if you can realize, in the cabin where usually people would be sitting. And guess what? They have taken extreme measures and are now filling these seats with goods. And you can see here, it reads fresh vegetables. So the reason why I'm sharing this is because no matter what happens in the world, and even if a pandemic hits, the trade and the retail of food and hygienic items, skincare items will continue. Now that is very, very relevant for you to understand because according to experts, the pandemic could stay with us for some time, for years. And even if it doesn't, people will now be aware to make sure that their businesses are kind of, not prone towards another pandemic if it should hit. And this is important for the context for all of you listening today, that the kind of business model I'm explaining today and the 5 steps to how to set this up that I want to share with you today very much depend on this timing now and this pandemic. Now, the right timing for this business model is now. And for those of you who are already in business, you may also know that getting the timing right is very, very crucial for your success in the world. Your business success will increase when you get the timing for your business right. And therefore, it is a success contributor. And right now, I want to let you know the timing is right for you to start trading agribusiness goods from Africa. And I've explained the context because the context is hugely relevant. Now, as I said, I want this web class to be relevant and actionable. And so the question is, dear Africa business jump starters, are you ready? Let me check with you. Let's see in the chat box, can you hear me well? Are you ready? I shared some context and it's very important for you to understand this context. And let's start with the training. Okay, fantastic. Yes, ready. Excellent, ready and moving. I love that. Great, so let's get started with the training. All right, so first of all, I want to start with some inspiration. And that is, I want to show you that there are people out there who are already trading with Africa. And in particular, I want to let you know success stories of Africans who are doing this already. So this is Ate Atabong, who is based in Norway. He's a former pharmacist, and now he's an Africa importer who actually started, with what I teach and with the training I give. And he writes to me, Dr. Harnett, I want to thank you and all who have been participating in our journey of launching our African products in Norway and soon in Sweden. We launched oils from 6 different countries and the response has been very, very positive. The sales of the oils have been good and are increasing. And I want to share quickly with you a video of the products that Ate has managed to put together. He has decided to develop his own brand of products. And let me share this with you.
Can't hear the video.
All right. So that is just, and let me actually, can you hear me well? Let me see. Can you hear me well? So this is,
Yes, I can hear you.
okay, thank you. And this is his brand. It's called Sawa. And Ate started less than 24 months ago. Now, in the first 6 months, he was learning and building because really he was using one of the most complex importing models, which is he decided to create his own brand. And after 18 months, the products were already in 12 shops in Norway. And after 24 months, his Sawa products are now in 27 shops. And I'm very happy to say, actually, Ate is part of our program that I want to introduce to you later. He is now not only a trainee, but he has become one of our mentors on the training program. And he is now teaching others who are starting from scratch. And he shares his lessons. And we had, a training session with him recently. And the amount of knowledge he has gained, in these few months is absolutely amazing. And that is the power, of doing this kind of training, because really we never come together as a community. And even when we are successful, everyone does his own thing. And I think there's so much value in learning from others. This is another success story. Pamela from Uganda, she has been in this business for over 10 years. She has actually started on the entire supply chain and the entire value chain. So she's working right with the farmers in Uganda, and she's importing her products into the European Union. And Pamela has her African products in over 300 shops and outlets in the world right now. These are some of her products, and I just want to show you, what beautiful high-end products can be produced, and these would be sitting very beautifully in Western shelves. And this is just to give you some inspiration of what can be done. I also want to share a story for those of you on the continent who are looking into intra-African trade, or maybe you're planning to, repatriate or relocate to Africa, and you're wondering what kind of business model you could be starting on the continent. Now, this particular story was a story that was shared with me by the managing director of Rwanda Mountain Tea Company. So I met him, and he shared the story that one day a Nigerian basically knocked at the door of the office and said, "Hi, I traveled in from Nigeria, and I would like to bring Rwandan tea into Nigeria." Now he took a few samples with him, in his bag, filled his bag, and flew back to Nigeria, where then he was looking for buyers. And one of his first buyers he found was actually the little shops that you find at the total petrol station. And he had his products placed in the petrol station, and it was very, very successful. And I'm not sure how these total petrol stations are set up. Is this a franchise, or I'm sure everyone managed their own shop, but maybe there may be a larger distributor for all of the total petrol station shops, because there are over 500 of them in Nigeria. And now, guess what? Once the shelves are empty, all he has to do is to reorder and fill the shelves. And this is a very beautiful model, just generally the importing model, because the work is really in acquiring your first clients. But once they're happy, they are reordering. And that is the beauty of it, because it becomes very simple afterwards. And that's where it becomes really, really profitable without you needing to do a lot of work. But again, I will dive into the different importing models in a little while. So what he also told me, the managing director, was they loved our tea, but they asked us to please get rid of the gorilla. So for some reason, you know, what is one country's pride, maybe another one didn't like it so much. But here you go. Intra-African trade, the Africa Business Jumpstarters, is actually growing at a much, much faster rate, about 40% as compared to 18 to 20% where Africa is trading with the rest of the world. So intra-African trade is growing very fast, and there's a lot of opportunity for you, no matter where you are based, to start importing African goods into the world. And as we've just heard, that includes the rest of Africa. Now, I want to explain to you also in what kind of sector you will be operating in. It is so important that you understand the context. Yes, it's all good to choose a product and say, I want to make money with that product. But if you do not understand the larger industry and the sector, then you're kind of wondering in which direction you're going. So let me explain to you the world of African trade quickly. So first of all, I want you to understand that African governments are supporting exports. All right. So wherever you are based, this would be imports at your end, because exports contribute directly to the economic growth of their respective countries. That is so important for you to understand, because it means that exporting from Africa is a sustainable model, while importing, for example, from the US into Africa, that is a model that African governments are really disencouraging from. They want to cut down on foreign imports that are flooding Africa, and therefore they're actually making importing regulations into Africa more expensive and more difficult. And therefore you want to look at a sustainable model which is exporting out of Africa. So at your end, wherever in the world you're based, it would be importing African goods. So that is how you contribute towards the economy of Africa. And Africa's food sector will be the next multi-billion-dollar industry globally. We have the fast-moving consumer goods sector. So these are food and drink items, hygienic products. And the fast-moving consumer goods sector plus the agricultural sector are set to be the main two sectors in Africa that will be growing very, very fast. And guess what? When we're talking about trading food items, then it touches on both of these fast-growing sectors. Now, many products that Africa supplies are high in demand globally, and you can sell them. Why you should import from Africa? Well, again, you can build a passive income stream towards financial freedom. That is very much possible with one of the importing models that I will discuss a little bit further down in the training. It can also be a serious side business, or it could be your main business for wealth creation. So, it depends really on you. You can do this as a side hustle, or if you're saying, guess what, I'm looking for a real business that I can build and where I can leave a legacy for my community or my family, then importing from Africa allows you to do both. You can sell African products anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you're based. In Africa, the United States, Europe, or Asia, or on the Arab Peninsula, because these products are in demand worldwide. And so that means that your business model also is pretty location independent. And of course, very, very relevant for us today is that you will be able to trade and sell even during a pandemic. Now, the new world of importing from Africa also highlights that consumers globally are more into healthy and organic and ethically sourced natural products, unique products than ever before. And guess what? Africa has loads of it. Just the other day, someone asked, what about some of the products that are coming from India? it was in relation to moringa powder, which is a superfoods. And the person we were talking to, which was Ate, who is now trading that, said, after his research, what he found out, and after speaking to people in the industry, he found out that a lot of the products that are produced in Asia or South America are actually mass produced, and very often they do not have the quality anymore in terms of being, organic, ethically sourced, natural, or unique, because they have been produced on a mass standard. And that is where Africa still can come in. You don't have to invest thousands to hold your own inventory, and I will show you how. And you can work out a partnership deal with African suppliers that suits you. We will discuss the agent status, the broker status, and the white labeling and distribution status. All right, so let me quickly check with you, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. Are you understanding the context? Are you learning something new about why this is so relevant and why the right time is right now? Let's see if you're getting some value out of that, to understand this is the right time, and your success will also be depending on understanding the right time. Okay, the timing is crucial for your success, and when you get in early and you're among the first movers, that's what's powerful. You don't want to get in when everyone is already doing, I don't know, drop shipping, and like the situation we have now with Alibaba and China. That's when the market is crowded. You want to come in when things are about to rise and grow, and you see there's something trending and you want to get into the start of that. That's what's powerful positioning. All right, and again, please don't unmute yourselves. I'm going to take questions after this training. Okay, so let's continue. All right. So, and what we should also know is that more and more African suppliers offer actually branded products. Okay, so we don't just want to import bulk products that are not processed. We want to import also products that are processed in Africa, so that value can be added on the continent, which means more jobs will be created on the continent and more of the money will be staying in Africa. That's also very important. All right, so let's continue. The world is looking for alternative supply chains. Let's get in. So 5 myths to get out of your head. And that is, you need a lot of money to start an import-export business. Nope, that's not true. You must travel to Africa to find suppliers. No, that's not true either. And I will show you how to get access to African suppliers, reliable suppliers, from the comfort of your home. Doing business African suppliers is risky. Again, I will show you today how to find professional, reliable suppliers for your business. Or you may be thinking that you have to handle all of the shipping and inventory yourself. Again, we will be diving into business models that allow you to, to just put the deals together. The African and diaspora and my friends will be my best customers. Nope, they won't, and I will tell you and show you how you can, really get into business and make a lot of money by selling to mainstream markets. So let's dive into 5 powerful and simple steps to importing from Africa successfully. Step number 1. Now take your notebooks and write it all down. We have 5 steps, okay? And I'm going to give you a lot of insights today. So step number 1 is to find a great product that is high in demand in the West or wherever in the world you're based. So you want to be taking a demand-driven approach. Don't ask, what does Africa have that I could possibly export or import rather, but you want to ask, which product is high in demand or trending in my specific target market, and then can Africa supply that? So you need to look at your local market. Start with your own city, wherever you're based, and then you can go further with your own country, wherever you're based right now. And you need to understand which products are high in demand here, which products are trending, where maybe supply issues or quality issues, and then you choose the best product that you want to get started with. So let's look at a few examples. I want to show you also what a good product looks like. So for example, you may be thinking, okay, I could import wooden sculptures, or I could import natural skincare. Now let's compare the two quickly. With wooden sculpture, although the arts and African arts is really trending in Africa. Sorry, not trending in Africa, trending among art experts in the world rather. Um, these are very, very distinct pieces of art. If we are looking, however, at the general wooden sculptures that you could get at any market in Africa, as compared to natural skincare. Now look, the wooden sculptures, it is very, very difficult to get that with a big order. Usually you would be selling, single pieces of the sculpture. And then also you will have a very limited amount of people in the country where you're based that would actually be interested in purchasing them. And that's why you will find it much more difficult to make profits with that kind of product as compared to the natural skincare, for example. Now, this is also a product coming out of Africa, of Ghana, this particular one here. And when we look at natural skincare, well, first of all, you can really sell in large quantities. You could be selling this to the wellness industry or to retail, to supermarkets, or you could be selling this to just mainstream people, even online. So where you have a large number of potential clients, and that's where it gets powerful. All right. Dear Leila, please don't unmute yourself. Okay. Now, waste beads versus coffee. Again, you have a product on the left, the waste beads, that first of all have a tiny profit margin. But again, also, it will be difficult to really sell waste beads in bulk. And the other thing now is they're not pandemic proof. So, people will stop buying them when a pandemic hits. Whereas on the contrary, you have coffee. First of all, you can sell this in large quantities, again, to coffee shops, to hotels, to retailers. Second, it's mainstream. And third, it will sell even when a pandemic hits. Let's look at traditional versus mainstream. So on the left, we have a beautiful sister in a traditional cloth. And now this traditional clothes, here this image is from Ethiopia, and this would be mainly bought by the Ethiopian community. Now, of course, if you live in a city, or in a region where you have a large diaspora community of Ethiopians, then you may be able to do good business with it. I'm not saying that this is not possible. However, if you do not have access to that community, or you live in a smaller kind of town, or you live in a country where you actually do not have a large community of diasporans, then again, it will be difficult to sell as compared to the product on the right, which are mainstream shoes that would be, there are leather shoes also coming out of Ethiopia, but it's also made in Ethiopia, but they're not just selling to Ethiopian diasporans, but they would be shoes that you can sell to anyone. And therefore, I believe there's more potential for everyone on the mainstream product as compared to the traditional. Now let's look at clothes versus food. Yes, there is huge demand and a growing demand for, African print in the world. We can even see that the fashion industry is moving towards African print. But again, I want to make you aware of the differences. Now, when it comes to importing clothes, for example, made in Africa and African inspired clothing, one of the issues that you will have is that clothes come in different sizes. All right. So let's say you start selling them, possibly online. Now, you will have issues with it is too small, it is too large, it doesn't fit, it's not the color I wanted. And so clients will get back to you because the size or doesn't fit, or the color is not the color they wanted. And what you will find is that you will have a lot of items returned to you, while on the contrary, you have a food product. Here we have, for example, a hibiscus herbal tea. And when you send that out, well, the chances that someone will return it to you are very, very small. Let's look at flowers versus additives, for example. Now, East Africa in particular is a main exporter of flour, especially Kenya and Ethiopia. Well, yes, it has been good business for a lot of people, and to be honest, the flour industry is actually in the hands of some Europeans, especially the Dutch. But right now, what we can see is that because the pandemic hit, the trade and the retail of flours went down by 40%. And that means, a lot of these commercial farms are negatively impacted upon, and the businesses are impacted upon. Where on the contrary, we have additives. You see here gum arabica. Now, the gum arabica comes from the acacia trees, and that is an additive that is being used both in pharmaceuticals and in the food industry. And guess what? Both industries, the pharmaceutical and the food industry, are continuing to flourish and grow even during a pandemic. So African products that are high in demand that I suggest you start importing and trading are coffee, tea, fruits, natural skincare products, superfoods, gluten-free flours and grains, food on pharma additives such as gum arabic or beeswax, and trending but not mainstream or not pandemic proof are African arts, basket, bags, and apparel. So the reason why I share this is because it is so important that we self-educate, that we do not make emotional decisions. Oh, we love, a certain product and we just start to do business with it, or we start trading without really understanding, how prone is this product to risk? How much demand is there in the mainstream market? Will I quickly hit my ceilings, or is this a product that I can really grow and expand fast? Now, bad products for you and for startups, therefore, are, first of all, large and heavy products. Let's say you wanted to import and trade African inspired furniture. This is, I would say, these kind of products are, leave these to people who already are trading and they know what they are doing and they have a client base, because large and heavy products are very difficult to ship, and it is complicated. You also possibly want to avoid in the beginning one size does not fit it all, so clothing, shoes, for example, especially if you decide to sell online. You also want to be avoiding fast perishable foods, especially when you're starting for the first time and you want to become a distributor yourself. So when you become a distributor and you have your own warehouse, and then you choose to trade fruits, for example, well, guess what? Fruits are fast perishable, and that means, your risk will increase, your risk for losses will increase because they have a very small shelf life. You also want to avoid products that have tiny profit margins, such as one waist bead, for example. You know, your profit margins are so tiny, and on top of it, you may not be able to sell this to the mainstream market. And you want to not be selling products that are only you know, valued by your African friends and not by foreign companies. So what makes a great product? Well, demand globally is high and you have a consistent stream of buyers throughout the year. It can be sold in large quantities to companies. That's what you want, what you need to be looking for. And small, light, and simple to ship. So products with a long shelf life. Okay, and please don't unmute yourselves. Okay, let me see. Sam, can you mute yourself? Okay, fantastic. And you want to be looking for products with a good profit margin and a product that is pandemic proof. Now, this was the step number one, okay? Remember, I hope you have your notebook. Step number one was to choose your ideal product. Now, step number two now is to choose your importing model strategically, okay? And so number two is choose your importing model. Which importing model are you choosing? When you start an importing business selling African products, you first choose the business model that is right for you. Let me list the main ones for you. Number one, you become an agent. That is commission-based. Number two, you become a wholesaler or a distributor. Number three, you start your own branded product. All right, so these are the three main business models. Let's have a closer look so you can understand them better. Number one, you become an agent. This is a business model that you can start on a shoestring budget. There's no handling. Okay, let me go back and mute everyone. Okay, just a second, please. All right, so please don't unmute yourselves. And that is the cost of getting the community together on Zoom and seeing your faces. But it's worth a lot. So let's go back. Please do not unmute yourselves. Okay. All right. So when you become an importing agent, you do not need to handle the goods or the transactions, so the money transaction yourself, and you do not have a warehouse. You're simply connecting the buyer with the seller in Africa. And that means that you can create a passive income stream over time and that you're completely location independent. You really just need your laptop or your phone. And you can get this importing business model started anywhere in the world. All right. Now, number two is that you become a distributor or a wholesaler. And that means that you can get larger profit margins and larger income, but now you have to ship your own goods and you have to actually put them into a warehouse. Now, it makes you an active player in the industry, which is really of value because you really create a business in its own right. And you also have more control over your business and prices. So these are some of the pros. You can actually add your price, you know, yourself and your profit margins. So you're not that dictated now by the supplier who tells you what the price is. You purchase the products from Africa, you put it into a warehouse. You can start with your living room or your own garage. And then you sell these products on at your own price. It gives you more control, but now it also means you need to put in more money because you actually need to purchase the products first yourself, okay? So it's a larger investment that you have to make in the beginning. Now you can see here one of our importers, Honora, who actually started, with nothing. This is before I had this importing program. And he was one of my clients in the Africa Business Academy. And he started to import the gluten-free cassava flour from Rwanda. And look, this is his warehouse. He actually managed to, leave his job. And this is his warehouse with his products. But he didn't start like that. He started with a small quantity of goods. And later he made his first shipment with a container. Number 3, the third business model is that you start your own branded product. Okay, so that is where you actually import the bulk ingredients, and then you have it packaged and branded yourself. And if your name is Mary, you could call it, I don't know, Mary's Coffee. Okay, you get the point. So here you own the product. That means you have full control over all aspects, including the branding, the pricing, and who you would like to target. You get increased prestige and enhanced vision. You can leave a legacy owning your own brand. And you can make additional income as you now control the margins, and others can actually become your importing agents or your resellers. All right? So these are the 3 importing models that I wanted to introduce to you today. Now, start with the model that makes the most sense to you at the beginning. Keep the pros and cons in mind, because you can always upgrade to a more complex importing business model later on. So let's say right now you are operating on a shoestring budget and you would love to have your own brand, your own skincare brand, your own coffee brand, but you do not have the money to purchase the goods, to put them in a warehouse, to buy the packaging. You could start with an import agent model, where you simply connect the buyers with the suppliers in Africa. That will allow you to really get to understand the products and the industry, and who is buying. And you can always upgrade later on, so to speak, to a distributor or to someone who wants to create their own brand. Or you can also just stay and remain as an import agent if you really do not want to handle any goods at all, and you can just get a commission and create a portfolio of buyers, because once you have acquired one buyer, as I said, he will order again and again and again when the shelves are empty. And once you have a portfolio of buyers, that's when you can create real passive income as an import agent. So you've chosen your business model. Great. Now you have to implement success step number 3. So step number 1 was to choose the right product. Number 2 was then to choose the right importing model for you. And step number 3 is to find a reliable African supplier that you can trust. Dealing with the wrong suppliers in Africa is the biggest risk in your business. It will cost you a lot of money and loss of credibility among your clients if you get this wrong. Hence, finding reliable and professional suppliers in Africa is one of the most important aspects when building your import business. Now, let's quickly look at finding suppliers in China versus finding them in Africa. Now, when trading with China, you can go to sites such as, Alibaba and AliExpress. You check on a huge range of suppliers. You get client reviews, you get supplier details, you get stars. You can make the transaction online. It is all set up. There is a huge infrastructure. And when trading with China, you're looking also at one homogeneous market. In Africa, however, you're looking actually at 54 markets to import from. So that is also a distinct difference you have to understand. We're saying China versus Africa, but we're really talking one country versus 54 different countries. And all of these 54 countries, they have different products, but they also have a different environment in terms of the regulations or the business environment. Some of these countries, it's very, very easy to import from or to trade with because they have a good business environment. And then other African countries have a very, very difficult and risky business environment. And that is something to understand. Now, of course, the situation in China hasn't been always like that, and if you're looking back maybe 15, 20 years ago, when all these online sites and drop shipping and Alibaba, when all of that started, really, people also worried about doing business with China and being scammed. And a lot of them actually were flying to China to make sure that whichever company they found online was an actual company and it wasn't a scam. So things were not easy in China either. And that's where Africa is right now. We do have the producers, the suppliers, manufacturers. We have amazing brands, but it is difficult to find reliable and professional ones. And it is not possible to just go online and get, the likes of Alibaba when it comes to African products. In fact, Alibaba is looking now towards Africa, trying to import these, or a lot of suppliers on Alibaba, I should say, are looking towards Africa. They are importing a lot of the goods into China and then reselling those goods to the rest of the world. Hence, in Africa, you need to find other ways to find reliable suppliers. So how do you do that? How do I find reliable suppliers in Africa? Well, there are several ways to do so, but I will show you the 3 best and fastest ways, and I highly recommend them. Number 1 is that you go through professional African entities such as the Export Promotion Council, the industry associations, and the chambers, such as the chambers of commerce. Okay, so here you can see the logos of a few of them. You have the Export Promotion Council of Kenya. You have Zambia, the Association of Manufacturers. You have the National Agricultural Export Board of Rwanda, and you have, for example, Ghana Cocoa Board. So what you can do is, when you visit in Africa, or you could also reach out by email, you could contact these professional associations, chambers, and entities, because guess what? A lot of the producers in Africa are members under these associations. And that means that when you get a referral to a supplier, to a manufacturer, through one of these entities, you can be sure that you get referred to a professional and a reliable supplier. Okay, this is really one of the best ways for you. And when you are in Africa on the ground, especially those of you who are, visiting or doing their research, let me tell you this: you can always go to these associations and these chambers and knock doors. Let them know that you're there for a few days, that you're visiting, and that you would like to get some recommendations or some good contacts, and they will always welcome you. Don't really bother to set up an appointment with them by email. You can simply knock doors and let them know that you're there for a few days, and you will be helped. Number 2, the other best way to find reliable professional suppliers in Africa is through face-to-face meetings at industry events, such as African expos and conferences. Okay, so I know that during the pandemic, of course, a lot of these conferences and expos are being postponed, but generally speaking, again, they're one of your best way to find these reliable and professional suppliers in Africa. And these expos and conferences are happening throughout the world. in regards to Africa. So you will get them on the continent, you will get them in the West, you know, in Asia, in Arab countries, and even you know, if you just go to a general food exhibition, one of the main ones in the world, they are very well known, or a very well-known organic exhibition, very often you have Africans and suppliers traveling to these conferences, because guess what? They're looking for buyers. That is one of the main challenge they have. They're looking for these buyers, and that's where you come in, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, because you are sitting in markets across the world, and you can open up these markets to these suppliers. Okay, so that is a perfect way to also get introduced to really reliable suppliers. And number 3 is through in-depth research. So that means that you just go online, you look for certain products, and then you check if a company, you know, is really trustworthy. And you can check that, for example, maybe they're members at one of the associations that I mentioned before, or you see that this company is being mentioned in the local newspaper. And a lot of these local newspapers, African local and national newspapers, you can find these newspapers online as well. So that is all part of your research to make sure you are dealing with reliable suppliers. All right, so, and now there's even a better way, cutting down time and risk in Africa, okay? There's a better way. You can access reliable African suppliers with quality products from the comfort of your home or office, and just start importing wherever in the world you are. How? Well, this will be the big reveal at the end of my session. And if you know the big reveal because you've been in my training before, then please do not share it with everyone who is new, because guess what? Life can be so boring. And we all like a little bit of curiosity, don't we? Let me know. Let's check with you. Let's check with you, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me well? Are you still up? Are you focusing?
Yes.
Are you learning?
Yes.
Are you taking
Yes,
notes?
yes, Dr. Honey.
Definitely.
Hey, man.
Yes.
Yes.
I love the vibe. I love the vibe. Okay,
The big
I'm going to mute
reveal.
everyone again.
Yes.
I forgot to say, please use the chat room box and put it. But I love it. You're so enthusiastic that you just unmuted yourself and shouted it all in. Thank you so much. Okay, so the big reveal will come in a few minutes, because we've created another way to do it, and I love putting some curiosity out here. You know, as I said, life can be dull. So let's see what's coming up. The big reveal. And for those of you on YouTube, I know you're joining, you're listening. You know, thank you so much for joining, and let's continue the training. All right, let's continue the training. All right. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you shortly. But here's what can happen fast if you think you've understood, but then you get carried away by the opportunity. And how often have we seen that you get in touch with someone, you meet someone, you think, oh, wow, this is a great deal. And that is what I call emotional decision making. You know, you say, great, sounds good. I met this person. They look really, really nice. We had a great chat with each other. And this is what happened with one of my clients. Now, here's the thing. My client, you know, went through the training, and she's actually my client because she was not just listening from afar like you did. She became a client, and then she traveled to her home country, Senegal. Now, in Senegal, she met a lady who then suggested that you know, there was a lot of mango sitting somewhere that could not be shifted and could not be brought to the market. And they had put it together from a lot of farmers, and she could make her a good deal. Now, the client of mine, she was based in the Netherlands, and she had actually good connections there. And she said, fantastic. You know, maybe she knew someone with a supermarket, I'm not sure, but she said she had a buyer. And she said, fantastic, that is an amazing deal. You know, I can make a quick trade deal here, make money, and maybe help these farmers as well. And guess what? She jumped on that wagon, and my client lost 4,000 US dollars. Now, I want to quickly go back to this picture, because here's something very, very important. When I look at these ladies, maybe farmers or small traders, who are really trying to sell a few fruits to make ends meet, you know, that is why we're here. And that is why I said I'm dedicating this training session to the many farmers and herders and even the small traders that are bringing this produce to local markets. But here's the thing. Very often when they come across you, someone from the West, maybe someone in business, maybe, you know, and you're promising something or you're all excited, guess what? They're seeing an opportunity in you. That's it. Maybe they have school fees to pay. Maybe they have a hospital bill to pay. Maybe they need to bring food home, you know, or just generally they're thinking, okay, this is a great business deal, and they're promising something they can then not fulfill. So I want to make this point because it is not so much in my belief. Anyway, this is what I believe. And by the way, I've worked with farmers and herders in Africa since 1999. If some of you are wondering what my PhD is in, my PhD is in food security in the Greater Horn of Africa. I've done my master's on farming and land degradation and my PhD on food security. I've worked with rural communities my entire life, all right? My entire adult life, I should say. And so what I want to say is these communities are close to my heart. I've studied what I've studied in order to uplift the poor farmers and herders and women also. I have a very soft, you know, spot for women and their struggles in Africa. And that is why I do what I do. However, in order for everyone to win and succeed, and when we go into business, it is very important that we do business the right way, and we do it in a way where everyone wins, all right? And where we do not lose our investment or our money because we've made emotional decisions or we've made uninformed decisions. All right. So it's very important that we remain professional and that we go the right avenues, because remember the story that I shared at the beginning of this session, and that was from the elderly cassava farmer in Rwanda who said his whole life he was planting on 2 hectares or owning 2 hectares of land with his cassava. And now there was the factory manufacturing, buying his cassava, and he managed to go from 2 hectares his whole life to 40 hectares in 6 years. And you're the one who's bringing, you know, the imports, the goods in. But you shouldn't be buying from the farmer directly. He doesn't have the quality or the quantity or the infrastructure to, you know, to really fulfill the standards that you have to have in order to be a respected business person in the West. Okay? But you're still impacting in I wouldn't say indirectly, I would say actually direct terms on the livelihoods of these farmers, especially once you're trading ethically traded and fair trade goods and so on. All right. So this is very important for us to understand because, you know, I think all of us, we want to succeed. We want to see Africa succeed, and we want to uplift our continent and the communities. All right. So step number 4, dear Africa Business Jam Starters, step number 4. And this is wonderful. We have almost like 400 people live in the Zoom room, you know, several hundred more live joining on YouTube. Fantastic. I love that we come together and that we, you know, work together towards uplifting ourselves and the continent of Africa. So step number 4 then is to sell the right, to sell to the right buyers for maximum profits. Okay, so to sell to the right buyers. And I'm gonna stop sharing again because I need to.
We are not hearing you, as I hope.
All right. So again, please everyone, don't unmute yourselves, because each time you unmute yourself, I need to stop the session. But I do Zoom with video so we can see our community together, and it is. All right.
Harriet, I'm not hearing you.
All right. Yahe, Sheikh, please stop unmuting yourself. Otherwise, we need to find another solution. All right. So please don't unmute yourself. Okay, thank you. All right. So I'm going to go back, share screen. All right. So how to sell to the right buyer? Well, you may be saying, I sell to my African friends. Okay, and I hear you because they are probably appreciating your African products more than anyone else. But guess what? Your African friends are not your best buyers. They may be your best, you know, testers. Can you say testers? Those who are testing your products. All right. So when I say African diaspora, African American, you know, everyone, we're one family. So do not, you know, aim to sell towards them as such, unless, you know, there is, of course, they may be a big part of your broader sales strategy. Absolutely. But what I want you to do is to not think small. All right. So they're the amazing people to test your products, and maybe there's a larger community out there that you can start selling to. Absolutely. But look what is happening in the meanwhile. Dear Africa Business Jam Starters, this is Hanjin Africa, and you can see some agent script on it. What I want to let you know is that while we as the African diaspora, by and large, and those on the continent, by and large, and friends of Africa, because Africa has many friends, and I know many of you are joining us here, while we are thinking small, maybe selling to friends or our community, our small community, look what other businesses and companies are doing. They are getting entire shiploads out of the continent. And therefore, I want to really make sure that I want to steer your soul in regards to let's rethink. Let's position ourselves as real traders, as real brands who can actually start shipping out 1 container, 2 container, and at one point maybe a small shipload. Okay, so the reason why I share this here, and you know, I apologize if I maybe offended anyone by saying don't sell to your African friends. This is actually, you know, sometimes you need to say it a little bit in a kind of upfront terms so it hits home. What I want to say is, let's not play it small. Let's start thinking big. That is the point I want to make. So We said, do not sell to your African friends, sell to larger companies, sell primarily to clients who can actually make large orders. That's the point here. And let's quickly look at selling to companies versus selling to individuals. Let's have a look how this would turn out in financial terms. So let's look at the math. Let's say you are selling on Amazon and you're getting orders one by individuals. Now, if you are selling to 1,000 individuals at a profit margin of $2 per unit, you make 2,000. Okay, so let's say you're selling coffee and you're selling 1 kilogram of coffee, and you're selling this on Amazon to 1,000 individuals at a profit margin of $2. You are making $2,000. Okay, now here's the other thing. Let's say you are selling to companies instead. Now, one company makes an order of 5,000 units at a profit margin of just $1, okay, because it may be ordering 5,000 kg of coffee. And that is not a lot for a supermarket or for a coffee store. And your profit margin is just $1. You now make $5,000 with a single client who will come back for more and for another larger order. Can you see the difference? Now, but there's another difference. And that is that, let's say you are selling to 1,000 individuals on Amazon. Well, first of all, get 1,000 individuals who buy from you. That is not easy. To get 1,000 people to buy from you is not easy. You still have to go through the same process of, getting your goods, understanding your industry, understanding the goods, understanding your marketing, your sales. You need to, you cannot just put a product on Amazon and it will sell on its own. You have to go through the process of marketing, of selling, just the same as you would need to do to win companies over to buy from you. But now, let's say you actually managed to get 1,000 individuals. Guess what? They will come back to you, say, oh, I didn't get my coffee. Oh, it was lost in order. Or I want another one. Or, they will come with inquiries. You now have 1,000 clients. You need to create customer service for 1,000 clients. You also need to make sure that you put a sticker on whatever you're sending out 1,000 times. Then it will get lost in post. It will return in post. You have suddenly an entire logistics center that you need to put up on top of that, as compared to selling to companies where you are just dealing with one single client and their request. All right, so you're making more money and you have less hassle. That is the model that I'm really suggesting you take on if you want to build up profits fast, and also in order to create a passive income stream where you, as an importing agent, for example, you connect these larger companies with suppliers in Africa. All right. Having said that, I want to add something. You can, of course, still sell online. All right. But I would not make that your primary business model. But I've spoken to some of our importers and some of our mentors. And interestingly, they also said, especially those that were starting small, they were saying, during the pandemic, having the online shop was actually good as well. It kind of gave them another injection of income. All right. So what we're doing here is we're just looking at different scenarios so we can understand the pros and cons. So companies to sell to in the West, for example, shops, supermarkets, retailers, restaurants, coffee shops, hotels, wholesalers, and larger importers. So importers that are already well established in your city or your country, and you can still sell to other importers as well. Corporate offices, spas and saloons, and other businesses. All right, offices, we have that already, corporate offices. So this is a list of companies to sell to, and you can see it's quite a large list. Now, the rule here is that you sell to clients what they want. Okay, that is very important to understand. So you cannot just simply go to any hotel or to any supermarket and say, hey, I've got coffee, are you interested? Or hey, I've got moringa oil, are you interested? It is very important that you understand what do clients want and how does your product fit that. So let me make another example here. So you can come up, for example, let's say you have high-end coffee, all right? And now you want to get the high-end coffee into the market somewhere, you know, in Europe or the US or wherever you're based. Now, the high-end coffee is being traded globally at, you know, it's a premium coffee, so it's going to be at a higher cost. Now, there are companies who would want the premium coffee, and then there are companies who couldn't care less. So on the left-hand side, for example, you have a hotel, and this is the McDonald's hotel chain, is a high-end hotel chain in the UK, and they actually bought premium coffee from Rwanda. Guess what? They want the premium coffee because they have premium clients. Or let's say you're taking a fair trade coffee from Tanzania to a coffee shop, all right? Again, as you can see, this particular coffee shop here says Fair Trade Coffee House. So would they want your higher priced fair trade coffee? Absolutely. On the other side, if you're going to a bed and breakfast or some kind of breakfast coffee shop that just serves to, you know, the lower end of consumers, they would not want to buy at a higher or a premium price. And so it's very important that you understand, how does my product fit whatever the client is standing for, all right? You also need to look out for buyer trends and then go for it. You need to understand the market. You cannot blindly just go and start selling. That doesn't work. You need to understand your product and you need to understand what the market wants. So this is just an example that I came across checking online. So here's Nando's, for example, and most of you will know the chain. And at that time when I researched it, this is a while ago, but guess what? They had an Africa theme going on for a while. So look, they had all their furniture is African, so it's African inspired furniture. In the back, you may not see it. These are actually images of, you know, children and communities in Africa. So now you had this theme going on. Now guess what? When you approach Nando's with your coffee or your fruits or your tea or whatever, you will need to approach them with that context that is relevant to them. And relevant to them is they have an African theme going on, so it would be very good for them, you know, or would make sense to also offer an African coffee that gives back to African farmers. All right. So, but that's why it is so important that before you actually contact a potential buyer, you check what they're about, and you can check that on the website. You have a mission statement, you have campaigns, you have corporate responsibility, you have their goals and their vision as be it as a hotel chain or a beauty spa or a retailer or a restaurant. And you need to actually understand that first before you reach out and communicate to them. Otherwise, you're just shooting into the blue and hoping that someone will buy. And guess what? Hope business never works out for you. All right. So check what the company wants, what they stand for, and then use their wording in the communication. So the wording that you've seen on their website, what is important to them, use that to sell your product. So, for example, this is a discounter we have in our area. I'm based in Germany, for those of you who wonder, at the moment still. And we have both. So, for example, in my neighborhood, we have a very high-end retailer, supermarket, and we have a discounter. We have those two. And the high-end retailer is doing everything like organic, ethically sourced, fair trade. I mean, I've looked the last time at eggs. Oh my God, it's amazing what kind of different eggs are. One said, for example, we are employing disabled people. That was printed on the package for the eggs. We are employing disabled people. And then another one was saying, we are not killing the little male chickens. I had no idea that this was actually happening, but in poultry production, it's happening that the little male chicklets are getting killed, and so they were advertising that they're not doing it. So first of all, this is the kind of consumer trends that are happening in the West, by the way. People want ethical products more and more, and they're happy to pay more for them. Guess which eggs, by the way, I haven't been buying the mass-produced eggs for many years, but then there's free range, and then there is, then there's the chickens that can really run around free. That's another level. And now guess what? There's on top of that organic, and we're not killing the little chicklets and so on. But that also shows the trends in the consumer market, and you need to understand these trends in order to sell properly what your product is standing for. Now, the reason why I shared it is, if you are now approaching that retailer, you can see in the shelves what's in the shelves. I've just shared it with you. Now, let's say you're approaching that retailer. You know what is important for that retailer. All right, as compared to going to the netto discounter, and let me mute everyone again. As compared to going to the discounter, where share screen. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. This is a discounter, and you may think, okay, my product is not the right product for this discounter. But guess what? I went onto the website of the discounter, and I found that this discounter cares a lot about sustainability and protecting the environment and making sure that farmers get their real share. And so much so that they actually announced that they are going to put strange looking vegetables. So this is vegetables that are not GMO, that do not look like plastic, but these are vegetables that have come in all forms and shapes, and that have maybe brown dots on them, because that's how nature produces fruits and vegetables. And they've educated their consumers that they should be expecting these kind of vegetable and fruits, for example. So you can still go to this discounter and sell your product knowing what they stand for and what they're campaigning. Okay, this is crucial if you want to sell successfully. All right, so 13 days and an Excel sheet. So let me actually share something with you, and that is, I have tried it myself. Most of you know I'm an Africa business trainer. I train across industries, and I look for business models that work for you in Africa, and you, especially the African diaspora by and large, but that work and for the African continent as well, and create win-win situations. So I'm not an importer. However, in order to teach better, I said, let me try it myself. So I actually went to an expo with my Kenyan tea, and I also had some cassava flour imported. And so I was, trying to sell these two products, gluten-free cassava flour and the tea. And I said to myself, all right, so let me just sacrifice an hour per day. Let me try to do this. I'm not an importer, so I'm starting from scratch like everyone. 1 hour per day. So what I started doing is I was looking at retailers supermarkets I knew, you know, bakeries, because gluten-free flours, and I was putting everything on my Excel sheet. This is why you can see an Excel sheet. I was putting them on my Excel sheet. Then I was putting the main contact and, you know, the website address where I have the mission and the goals. So I'm reading about the company because before I contact them. I spent an hour per day. I reached out first by first by phone call, asking who the right person is in the purchasing department. Okay, I want to get the products into the shelves. Who is the person to speak to? Who is the person to email to? And they would give me the direct contact, the direct name. I would then use the name and the contact to reach out to them. 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, so Monday to Friday. On day 13, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, I received my first expression of interest. On day 15, I received the second expression of interest. Both were for the cassava flour, by the way, the gluten-free cassava flour. The first was for a bakery. The second one was from one of the top retail supermarket chains here in Germany. Rewe, okay, it's huge. And guess what? 13 days and 15 days, and I received an expression of interest for a sample. I will stop here because I'm actually going into the real training for our trainees. There's only so much I can do. So we have limited time here today. But what I want to show you, it is so possible and achievable, and it doesn't need to take you months. It took me 13 days and 15 days to get the first expression of interest for a sample, and not from a corner shop, but from a big family bakery and one of the main retailers here in Germany. Okay, so I want to let you know it can be done. It's very tangible. But don't forget, this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is a proper business that you can set up and that will feed you and your family and Africa. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So step number 5, and this is the last step. Step number 5 then is to scale smartly and make a lot of money. Focus on getting more of the right larger buyers, foster good relationships with your suppliers and your buyers, and build a buyer portfolio of buyer accounts so they reorder again and again. That will allow for a passive income stream. Diversify your product range within a closely related industry. That will allow for faster sales as you have existing buyers. So let's say if you have started with coffee, do not jump from coffee to oil. This is a different industry. You need to start from scratch again. If you started with coffee and you want to add another product, add tea. That is then both beverages, all right? And you may be able to sell to the existing buyers already. Okay, so let's quickly recap. And as you can see, guys, I love teaching. I love empowering you. You know, I have to stop myself to say, okay, you know, time. Okay, let's get moving. Let's recap. We said today that you can build a passive income stream and wealth, that you can make the money you need to build the life of your dreams, and you can be highly flexible and your own boss. African governments support exports, so goods out of Africa, as it contributes directly to the economy and the growth of their respective countries. You will help Africa economically and build a new narrative. Importing from Africa is easier than ever, and everyone can do it. And I see I've misspelled everyone. It's the perfect business model for the African diaspora, as buyers are sitting, you know, wherever you are, but it works equally well for intra-African trade and global trade, no matter where in the world you are. You can get started with little money. We've seen this for the import agent status. The world is looking for high quality, organic, ethically sourced products, and Africa has a lot of that. And it's a business model that is COVID-19 proof, as the trade of food and skincare will continue no matter what. Step number 1, we said, start with the demand. Find your ideal product that is high in demand wherever you're based. Step number 2, choose your importing business model strategically. Step number 3, find a reliable African supplier you can trust. Step number 4 is to sell to the right buyers for maximum profits. And step number 5, and we said that was especially companies. And step number 5 then is to scale smartly and make a lot of money by putting together buyer portfolios. But there's one more reason why you should start an African import business. One more reason. And I want to quickly, I thought about, shall I put this in? But I think it's important. And I wanted to include this. One more reason. And that's that. This is the leading magazine called Food Business Africa. All right. So this company deals with the food industry in Africa. Now, please let me know, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, what is it that you see and notice, and what is it that you do not see? Let me see in the comment section, please. Let me see in the comment section.
Not a single black face.
All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. Let me go down in the comment section, please. Exactly. Not a single black face. Mute everyone. All right. So yes, no African, no black people, no black faces. Where are the Africans? No Africans, no women. Oh, great. I love that. No women. No single black people, no women. All right. Fantastic. So look, this is really, really important to realize. Am I sharing again? No, I'm not sharing. I'm just looking at it on my own right now. Hold on. Okay, this is important to realize. I want to make a very, very important point here, the Africa Business Jumpstart.
High up on them.
Okay, don't unmute yourself. Okay, hold on. Okay, don't unmute yourselves, please. Otherwise, I can't continue. All right. Okay, so let's continue. And here's an important point that I want to make. And that is, first of all, it is time for us to get in. The point I want to make here is, what we need to understand is, first of all, I do not teach by exclusion. I teach to empower our own. That's number one. That goes hand in hand with the fact that we're in a global economy and a global market. And guess what? If we want African economies to open up, and we're in a global open market, open market economy means that people can come in. What we see, however, is who is coming in and who is not getting in. So the point I want to make here is not by exclusion. The point I want to make here is to ourselves as Africans and the African diaspora. Where are we? And where are we means, where is each one of us, not standing by the sidelines complaining or saying, everyone else took over. We have to empower ourselves. We have to collectively understand that there is huge potential in Africa that is being taken, by a lot of other people, and we need to play a role in this. That is what I believe. It is up to us to actually make a step and play our role, be it as Africans and, dear sisters, be it as women. All right. So the reason why I brought this up is because I truly believe that starting an African business, and even the importing model that we've discussed today, goes beyond, far beyond just making money. We also talked about supporting farmers, right? But right now, we also talk about playing our role in the new narrative. We do not want the new narrative to be directed by foreigners. Foreigner will come in an open marketplace. And unfortunately, we also have a lot of African governments that believe some countries, especially China, are going to save the continent. Well, I don't want to go into much discussion with that, but we're seeing almost like neocolonialism happening on the continent of Africa. But it is not okay for us to sit just on the sidelines and complain. We actually have to walk the talk. That's what I believe. We have to walk the talk, even in small steps. It's important that we do this, and that's also the spirit of today's training. So I'm not sure why you showed up today. It may be because you're tired of the rat race, or COVID-19 has somehow shook up your reality and you want to start your own business and leading that on your own terms. Maybe you were looking for a meaningful and profitable African business that you could manage from anywhere in the world. Maybe you're ready to create the lifestyle you crave with the potential to create passive wealth, have freedom and flexibility. Or maybe you have a new import-export business already and you're looking to import from Africa in a more effective manner. I had one of our trainees who was importing successfully. He's African as well, drop shipping from China. And he said, you know what, Dr. Harns, after all these years, I'm making money, but there's no meaning to my business. I want to help my own people in my continent. And therefore, he decided to start doing business or importing from Africa. But whatever your situation is right now, and I know that for many of us, the situation right now could be very challenging. If you change nothing, nothing will change. That's it. And that is true for our own lives, and it is true for our continent of Africa. Our continent is rising, but we all know that there's so many things that are wrong still in Africa, from poverty to extreme injustice. And we need to make sure that we step in. So what I would like to do now is to we've come to an end of the training. But what I would like to do is to, first of all, share the big reveal. Remember the big reveal where I said there is a easier way to find reliable suppliers in Africa now from the comfort of your home. And I also want to share with you our pioneering program on how to import from Africa. As you know, I'm a trainer. I've put a program together. There are several hundreds of trainees already, and I would love to share this with you. So let me hear from you if you are fine to sit a little bit in longer until we have our Q&A. Let me see. Am I allowed to share with you our new pioneering training on how to import from Africa the right way? It's a pioneering program that I've put together. And yes, please, sure, please, yes, share, yes, please. And can I get the link? Okay, please do. Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, Dr. Harnett, thank you so much. All right, so let's share this and then we move on to Q&A. All right. Okay, and hold on. And I'm going to mute everyone. Don't unmute yourselves, please. Thank you. All right. So, a very warm welcome to our Importing from Africa program. This is the first ever comprehensive online program on how to import from Africa, plus the big reveal that I have promised. So here's what you will get. First of all, you will get access to the world's first ever online training on how to import from Africa. You will get access to an online training with 12 modules that will explain in detail how to get started. So for example, how to find reliable African suppliers, we touched on that, and how to understand your profit margins, how to get your product samples, how to get them shipped. Are you getting them by plane or by air or by ship? How do you sell to the right clients? What do you say, and how do you find them? You know, duty, taxes, and all that. So we have 12 modules, and guess what? There's no online training anywhere in the world that is teaching that. There's a few trainings on how to import and trade. Most of them are on China, and some of them are, you know, on the US, in regards to the United States, or just global trade. But there's no online training or program that really teaches you how to do so the right way in the context of Africa. Now, number 2, the big reveal, here it is. Number 2, you will get access to our exclusive online platform of reliable African suppliers. Yes, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, we have put in the word, the work and the word. We're pioneering something. We have put together a marketplace where we are featuring reliable professional African suppliers and their products. Okay, and that means you can just go onto the marketplace, click a few buttons on your computer, and you can contact them through our marketplace. And we have vetted them. Okay, so this is the access number 2 that I've just said, the product finder, and you can do so from the comfort of your home. And when I talk about African suppliers, I am talking about some of the best on the continent. In our marketplace, we have some of the largest producers. We have, you know, many of them I have visited personally. Some of the pictures are actually personal pictures I took. You know, we can see, actually, I don't need to go into detail now because I'm aware of time, but as you can see, we're talking about professional manufacturers who are adding value to the products and then shipping them out into the world. Now they need you to allow access to new markets, okay? So first of all, you get free access today when you enroll in the Importing from Africa program. You get free access to that marketplace. So this is an add-on to the program. We have partnered with them and we have vetted them. So that means, you know, we have really gone through the process to see everything is established well. Their business licenses, their import-exporting licenses, their certificates. We have also partnered with those who have already export experience. That is very important because there are a lot of African producers there, but not everyone has the standards in terms of quality that is required, especially for the West, United States, Canada, you know, the European Union. And we have made sure we are starting with those that have export experience and that have the quality certifications. Okay, so we have vetted them. We've gone through that process for you. You can simply select your product on our platform and then contact the supplier directly through the website. We're in the middle of creating a network around this, so we can continue to add new trustworthy African suppliers and their products. So the marketplace that we have created will have more African suppliers and products added. Just a few days ago, we added another 5-6 products from Namibia. And so this is a continuous effort. So the marketplace will grow. And the marketplace is there for importers. So this is not for you to, you know, to order one single product to purchase it for yourself. It is to order samples in order to do business and start importing. Access number 3, you get access to checklists and email templates. So maybe you may be wondering, okay, I'm emailing this supplier in Africa. What do I say now? I go through the contact form, but what do I say? Or the buyer, what do I say? Guess what? We have put email templates together that you can just copy paste and then you adjust them according to your own product or your own demand. We have checklists because I realized that many of you are new to this. So checklists in order, what to do first, what to do second, and to make sure you are not leaving any steps out. Access number 4 to success stories and lessons. I think this is something of huge value. We have collected success stories of African importers out there who share our stories in terms of they have started from scratch, they wanted to leave jobs, they started with no prior experience, and they wanted to support Africa, and they have reached somewhere. They have left their jobs. In most cases, they were able to leave their jobs between 12 to 18 months, and to replace the income that they had in their jobs. But having said that, that is the tool that you see on this picture is before we had this program. So they didn't even have the guidance. So I believe you can actually get successful much faster than that. But these success stories are really priceless. And I've shared the one with Honora. This is his warehouse. I mean, this is how you can really quickly advance in your new business. Access number 5, you get hands-on support and mentorship. First of all, via our private Facebook group, where you can ask questions 24/7, and guess what? You will remain in the community. All right. And also part of that mentorship is the monthly live mentorship by African importers. And that is something new we added to the program. And we still did not increase the cost of the program. We left the program at the same price, and I was so determined to make sure we're getting more success stories. So what we've done is we've added some of the importers, and I've introduced some of them before, and they will actually meet you each month live on Zoom, and they will train you, and they will answer all your importing questions. Because in the beginning, when you start a new business, you will have a lot of questions, but you will be trained. I will look in maybe here and there. I will come in and also train you on business, but you will be mainly trained by people who actually know what they're talking about, which is importing in real terms, the struggles they went through. Ate, for example, said, I got the package and the oil had all leaked out. I mean, this is the kind of experience. Okay, so what he had to do in order to make sure it was properly packaged. These people are full of lessons, and they can teach you to do it the right way, so you do not fall into the mistakes that could be easily avoided. And when you come together with these live mentors, you also come together with the community, just as we do now in Zoom. Because guess what? Starting a business is not easy, and a lot of people will not understand what you're doing or even support you, and it can get lonely. And so it is so crucial to have a community of like-minded people that support you and that are on the same journey. So we basically created an Africa business in a box, and we have done most of the preparatory work for you. You just need to identify the product, get the samples, and then start selling. And we show you how to do that. So Dr. Harnett, what is my investment to enroll in the program? I'm sure you may be wondering. All right. So the Africa Business in a Box, the Importing from Africa program. Well, let's first look at the market value you get. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because guess what? Watch me and learn. Learn how I sell, okay? This is the market value you will get. The importing course online, any importing course online generally sells for about $2,000. I've checked in importing courses, and as I said, none of them were on Africa. They were on China and the United States and globally. $2,000. That's the market value. That's how much they sell for. Access to reliable suppliers that we have vetted for you. Well, I would say this could be another $2,000, either because you need to travel to Africa to find them, or because you're spending a lot of time on researching them. And guess what? In business, time is money. The product list, the email, the templates, the checklist, all of that is worth another 200. The success stories and the valuable insights that you get from other importers worth $1,000, and the live monthly group mentorship where importers are teaching you, training you, and answering your questions. They're mentoring and coaching you. That is at least, actually it's more, worth more than 2,000 if you really ask me in the coaching and training world. But let's say it's worth at least $2,000. And besides, there's no online course or program or platform like this anywhere. We are pioneering something together. The total market value is $7,200 US. Hands down, that is the market value if you would be getting it from all sides and all directions. That is how much the market puts value out there in this context. So what you also should know is that you get lifetime access. So if you enroll once, you get lifetime access to the program and the mentorships, the coaches, the trainers. Now, obviously, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, I'm not going to charge you $7,200 US. You may be wondering what it is. You're probably thinking, what is my investment into this, into myself? Because it's a self-investment. That's very important to understand. You're investing in yourself. So are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters? Your investment today is $497 US. Today, the entire Importing from Africa program is immediately yours for just $497 US. And yes, there is a payment plan, a 6-month payment plan where you can get started today for just $89. And you can get started with this immediately. So you get access to everything. If you pay the $89 today, you get immediate access to everything today. Now, let me quickly pause here and share the link with you for those of you who are already saying, this is amazing, let's get in. This, if you already know it's a yes, I'm sharing the link with you right here. For those of you on YouTube, bear with me. Bear with me. I will share it on YouTube as well in my screen and in the comment section after the live, okay? Now, this is really incredible value, and I've never, ever offered it for that price at $89. The reason why I'm doing this now is because of the pandemic, all right? I know how many people have uncertainty in their jobs. I know how many of you are thinking of, really changing your lives as a result of that, and you were reflecting. And that is the reason why I have decided to offer it at $89 payment plan for the first time ever, all right? Now, so you can now go on the link that I just shared with you, all right? You will find it left, right, center, above, wherever you're watching this. And if you are already ready, then click on the link that I've shared in the chat box. I'll share it quickly again. Here it is, https, and then go.africajumpstart.com/opt-in 35698-261. All right. So you can make a note of the link, but as I said, wherever you're watching this, you will find a link. I will send you a link and I will post a link. Just revisit your emails or revisit the YouTube channel and you'll get the link. So I'll put it one more time into the comment section for those of you who are joining me on Zoom right now. All right. So really, it's a non-brainer for those of you who are serious about this. This is a non-brainer. And now for those of you sitting on the fence, let's quickly, oh, am I sharing actually? Okay, hold on, technology. Oh, I muted everyone. All right, hold on, guys, I unmuted you instead of muting you. All right, so we're moving shortly into the Q&A. I have some time for your questions, but very, very quickly, I want to just wrap this up. For those of you sitting on the fence, let me just quickly wrap this up, and then we go into your questions that you may have. I'm here to answer your questions. All right. All right, so you got the link. So here's what you will create if you enroll. First of all, it means you have found your ideal Africa business model that you can start straight away right now and build a serious business or side income. It is a real opportunity to replace your job, create a business you love, steer towards financial independence, leaving a legacy for your family and community, all while making an impact on Africa. And that is where I think the purpose and the meaningfulness comes in. So, all right, don't unmute yourselves, okay? So of course you could board a plane, knock doors, or wonder what will happen, you know, when another pandemic hits. We can of course stay where we are in life or continue to do things like we've always done things in the past. But guess what? There is usually a better way. And you need to really think about, you know, the time you're putting in, the money you're putting in. Do you want to figure it out by yourself, or are you being led by people? Now people are. All right, please don't unmute yourself. Okay, so as you see, it's not ideal to have everyone showing up on video, but I still love the community feel, so I don't want to swap it for like a webinar where I can't see and feel you. Okay, so don't unmute yourselves, and we're almost done. 2-3 more minutes, and we dive into the Q&A. So besides, have you ever thought about the cost of staying, you know, the cost of time, doing all the research and figuring it out yourself, or delaying that decision altogether? And more importantly, have you ever thought about the cost of staying where you are in life? You know, and I think this is so important to many of us. First of all, we have our own individual challenges, but we also have our challenges collectively, you know, and we are fighting for our position, and it is so crucial that we replace the old with the new. I truly believe in, yes, it is important to fight. It is important to create awareness, absolutely. But we cannot change the status quo unless we replace the old with the new. And it is up to us to build the new so that we know with what we want to replace it with, okay? And that is, you know, it can be done in so many different ways. I'm just suggesting one, that is start your own business. Number 2, start your own African business. And if you don't know which business model, I've just shared one business model with you today. That's all it is. And I know where I've been 6 years ago before I started my business and where I am today. I had to change my poverty mindset into a success mindset. And today I'm financially independent, and life really is greener on the other side. And I'm making a contribution towards Africa's development in my own humble ways. And that is meaningful. It's a path so worth living and walking on. And I think at the end of the day, we're all looking for that, you know. So yeah, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And you know, and I can tell you about that because as you know, I have a PhD. I was in formal education. I did really well. I still ended up poor, not knowing where my path was. It was self-education that took me where I am today. That will make you, allow you to make a fortune. And so you need to invest in yourself to start that journey. I've invested a lot in my self-education. Just last year, I invested, believe it or not, $60,000 in my self-education. I didn't get here by chance. I had to learn how to become successful. I had to learn how to make money. I had to learn how to start a business. I had to learn how to make it profitable. If I had known, I would have done it a long time ago. Okay, so as I always say, we very often think that if we want to start driving and we need to get a driving license, we get an instructor, a teacher for that, and we pay that instructor happily $1,000. But when it comes then to investing in ourselves, $89, oh, I don't really have that money. Then we stop. Why? Because we are not used to investing in ourselves. But guess what? That's how you will change your own narrative and the narrative of our continent of Africa. So if you are enrolling today, you will also get a bonus for fast movers. You will get my a free copy of my ebook, 101 Ways to Make Money in Africa. Okay, so I'll send that to you as well today. And as I said, today your investment is $89. And again, I'm going to share the link now with you, and then we're going to dive into our Q&A, because this was the training for today. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for your patience and for your professionalism. I appreciate it. Don't unmute yourself, please. Okay, and we're going to dive into Q&A. So let me see, can I see more of you on, there you are on video. I was on the wrong page. Okay, there you are. Okay, fantastic. So what I will do is, let me one more time share the link, and then we go into Q&A. Let me share the link here with you. First of all, in the Zoom room, and let me see if I can actually also access no, I can't access YouTube right now. So dear friends on YouTube, I will go and leave the link in the comment section. So go back on to our YouTube channel later on to find the link. I can't do it right now. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, let's dive into your questions. As I always say, in business, you have to be visible, right? So those of you who are most visible to me will go first. Don't unmute yourselves, please. Okay, so the ones on video are more visible to me. Okay, I can see Manny waving. Manny, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Harnett. Thanks for taking my question. I was wondering about importing coffee into Canada. Like, what tips would you have for finding buyers? Like, do you give out free samples, or like, I don't know, what tips would you suggest?
Okay, sure, thank you. So what I would say is, Manny, is first of all, you need to understand, what kind of clients you're looking for. Once you have understood that, so they need to match your product. So for example, as I suggested before, is it organic? Is it fair trade? What does your coffee stand for, and what do your clients stand for? And then, yes, you would need to have samples. So if there's an expression of interest for a sample, you need to have them ready to give them away, and samples usually you give them away for free. So I'm just going to mute everyone. So yes, you would have smaller, you wouldn't do a 1 kg, you would have a smaller sample package, and the suppliers in Africa do have that. And then you would give that away and then follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Who goes next, please? Who goes next? Tip, please. Yes, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself, Tip. Go ahead.
Yes, hey. So my question is, because I actually currently have a business that deals with African diaspora foods and ingredients. So, for example, I have African, Jamaican, Caribbean market in my area, and also I do some online shopping with a business to get a goosey, melon seeds from Africa, sourced from Nigeria, I believe. But one thing I've heard them say, as I've talked with them personally, that there's some products you can't get into the USA. Is that true? Is that possible? I'm in South Carolina. I just
Which
didn't know
product do you
how
mean that
true
you
that
can't
is,
get
or
in?
if there would be problems. Excuse me? Well,
Is
that
it
it's difficult to import certain things.
right? Yes. No, you're absolutely right. And the reason why is that is because certain products haven't gone through the quality standards and the certification. And that's absolutely right. So if you were to import a product that has never been imported into the United States or the EU before, you would need to go through you know, the quality procedures. Like you would have to have it tested in laboratories, and then it needs to be you know, approved by the FDA and so on. But that's why we have suppliers on our platform, on our marketplace, that have already export experience, and they already have the certification in place. So it's important tip, and I'm going to mute everyone. It's important tip that when you seek out to import a certain product from Africa, that you start with a supplier who already has the certification in place, and they have FDA approval if you're in the United States, so that you do not need to go through the tiresome process. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Okay, fantastic. So who goes next?
Can I ask a question?
Well, yeah, you need to become, but yes, you may, sir. But here's the thing: if I start taking people who just unmute themselves, everyone will unmute themselves. So so the way to be visible is on video, waving, or to raise your hands. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
So I can see Aquapay. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be a part of your teaching here. I have 2 questions. I'm sorry, I wrote them down because I get nervous speaking with other people. Can you tell me, like, what's the lowest cost that like, what's the lowest it might cost to become like an agent? The lowest cost, you know, budget wise, and also what's the difference between this program that you're offering and the Business Academy? Thank you.
Okay, sure. I'm happy to let you know. So so as we said in the training, the agent model is the easiest model to get in, because you can start this on a shoestring budget. So the only investment or money basically you would need is to get the samples. You need to get samples from Africa, so that you can start giving them away when you have expression of interest from potential buyers. So it depends on, you know, how many samples you want to get. You can start with a small shipment, and then some African suppliers give their samples for free, and some will make you pay like a little wholesale fee for it. It's not the full fee, but they will make you pay a sample fee for it. So it depends on that as well. And then samples usually are shipped by air. Although, and I want to say that, is that we also have a partnership with a shipping comparison company out of Africa, who also offer small spaces or parts in containers, you know, so that you can get your samples cheaper. And so it depends on $50 to $200 could be get like a small sample. Let me mute everyone. If you get you know, just one package, and that supplier happens to give it for free. I got it by DHL. It was a smaller package, and it was about $50. And then if you have a larger one, it could be $200 up to $300. It depends on how large of a sample it is and if you need to pay for it. But around that's your investment, and then that's it basically, because then you get your samples out through email and phone, and you follow up with those who have expressed interest. And once they make an order, if you're an importing agent, then they make the order through you, but you do not handle the shipment or the money transaction. And therefore, that's it. You just get the commission later on. All right. The difference between the academy and the importing program is the Africa Business Academy is really my inner circle. We have people that start all sorts of businesses across industry, tech, tourism, real estate, you know, and across countries. And I teach not only how they start their African businesses across industries, but also how to do business. So I teach some of the most important aspects in terms of how to position yourself and how to become profitable. While the importing program is really just about importing. And the people who will train you just on the importing program. So it's one business model that we've basically taken out, and we wrapped an entire program around it, because it's an amazing business model for the diaspora or anyone really who wants to get started. I hope that answered it. Okay. So who goes next? Yeah, Hermon and then Severio. Hermon and Severio. Hermon, please. You need to unmute yourself. Okay. Until you find it, Hermon. Okay, you found it. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Harna, for this opportunity. So what I want to ask is that if you want to be an agent, like how to start, like who do you contact first, and how to connect like the supplier and the buyers, and like basically the steps, like how can a beginner start to be an agent?
Okay, sure. So first you would you would contact the supplier in Africa to say that you would be interested to open. Where are you based, if I may ask?
I'm in Finland.
Okay, all right, fantastic, Finland. So Hermon, you could say you would love to open up the Finnish market to these suppliers, okay? And therefore you will request samples. So first of all, this is an amazing market because they don't get easily access to that market, but generally they're interested to sell just anywhere. And so you would say you would like to open up the market to their products, and therefore you would like to request a sample. So you start with that. Once you have the sample in your home, it may be a week later, 2 weeks later, then you start contacting potential buyers, and you contact them, as I said before, I explained in the training, by phone first and then by email, and you communicate the value of your product to them. So it's less about you selling and what you want to do for Africa and what you're selling. It's more about your buyers and what they have as mission and goal and corporate ethics and so on. And then you communicate that in your email, and you suggest that you have the right product for them. And once they make an expression for interest, they would inquire about a sample, and then you would send them a sample and follow up with that. So that is the kind of the process. Important is, just generally, important is also in our importing program that you do not reach out to suppliers in Africa too quickly. One thing that they are saying is that, a challenge they're having just generally, but also with Alibaba, is they get so many inquiries, but hardly any of these inquiries are actually converting into sales. And so what you need to be aware of is that suppliers also get a fatigue in regards to too many people asking for too many samples, and then nothing is happening. So what I also teach in the program is that you do not enthusiastically just reach out, but that you really first do a little bit of research. What product is high in demand wherever you are based, and what product would you enjoy also? It's important that you enjoy the product, because otherwise it's very difficult to sell something enthusiastically if you don't like the product. So if you are not a coffee drinker and then you sell coffee, that's difficult, So those are the tips I would give. And yeah, maybe I should also add, since I just mentioned it, Hermon, I did a survey with the suppliers, because this year I understood I don't want to just understand the importers, you guys. I also want to understand the suppliers on the African end better. And this is so insightful, you know, the responses I get from the suppliers. So and one thing they said, they prefer our platform over Alibaba. And can we get like a woo for that? Because it's an African inspired, African made platform. And they said we prefer that over Alibaba, because although we see there are a lot of startups, we actually get, first of all, more conversions. Even if they're small, we get more conversions. And second of all, they said, we like the fact that there's a platform that goes directly Africa to the world and not through China, okay? So woohoo, and you can become part of building that. So let's do it together. I can't do it alone. I said to the suppliers, guess what I said to them? Some of them said, oh yeah, you have so many startups. What about the big importers? Can we get access to them? And I said, absolutely, but look, if we're a startup marketplace, how can I get the big importers, you know, the ones that are already big in business, to access the page? We all need to build together. And by the way, look at Ate. He is opening up the Norwegian market for 6 of our suppliers. So they can see the value. Absolutely. They just say they would love for it to happen faster. So as you can see, everyone is waiting on you. Everyone is waiting on you. But I'm really excited about what we can achieve together. So Saverio was next, please. Saverio, unmute your. I think he can't hear me at the moment. Okay, so Kay.
Yep.
Kay, go ahead, please.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, yes. Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Haney, for that. An idea just came to my mind now as you said that. Have you ever considered the possibility of you actually having to organize a session, not a session, maybe a series of sessions of these importers, I mean, these importers in the West, and to be able to be a kind of a platform between our suppliers in Africa and we here, so that it makes it easy. Because one of the greatest challenges that we have here, those of us in the diaspora, is actually having to break into markets here in the West. There are ceilings, and that's why you have the agitation going on now, like Black Lives Matter. It's not just about the life itself, I mean, as far as police shooting and so on, but actually getting our businesses to the people, breaking into those other markets. I am yet to be convinced that that is not a major problem for most of us.
Yeah, thank you for that contribution, and I absolutely understand that. You know, the issue here is that really the entire infrastructure when it comes to importing from Africa or trading with Africa is not really there. So everyone struggles. The buyers who would like to access African products are struggling. That's why you are so important to the buyers also, because they can do business with you nationally rather than needing to reach out, you know, to Africa. And Africa is very, very foreign to many of the retailers here. So do the suppliers have challenges in finding the foreign markets. And so, yes, we are actually bringing you together, but not on an online platform like this, like talking to each other. Maybe that could happen at one point. Why not? But I think yes, please.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, I think for some of us here, we do have our local contacts back home, if I may use that word. The major issue is being able to get the buyers, the large buyers, from the medium to large scale businesses here in the West. And if we can have a bridge, so if we can have a bridge for that, especially here, we all know for sure that all African countries are in support of exports. We know that. We all know for sure that the materials we're talking about is based in Africa. That's a given. Now, we all know that there is the drive and momentum to get these products to the West. We all know that. And everybody will fall in line at one point or another. The big problem is, how do we get into? What are the strategies that we need to adopt? Now, it's not just what one person can do. There is a pool of talents here, of all or everyone on this call right now, that if we can synergize, that is where we, instead of having to work on one-on-one and so on, and you as leading us, can now start saying, I have this wealth of knowledge behind me, and then now start having to see how you're going to take that to the higher level across the West, the Europe, America, North America, all these major countries and so on. How could you help with that?
All right, Kay, thank you so much.
Going forward.
Yes, I mean, you're making an absolutely, you're welcome. You're making an absolutely important point. And in fact, you know, a lot of people also in our program are mentioning that. Ate, for example, said, you know, the problem I had with packaging, really, we needed a whole infrastructure. You know, we needed we would need an infrastructure that would make sure we package it right. Do we have people who can do that? And then others are saying, oh, the samples take so long. They take 2 weeks, you know. What if we had outlets in the West who had these samples already, and we could get the samples in a couple of days? But that's why I'm saying you're absolutely right, Kay. There's so much space to come in with our expertise. Then, you know, some of the products, the packaging is poor. What about people who have, you know, knowledge in regards to design or graphics? What about the people who have knowledge in marketing, in sales, in supply chain management? One of our trainees in the importing program, he's an expert in the quality insurance at the African end, you know. So the exporters also need a lot of support in that regard. And personally, yes, I am connecting with a lot of players in this in this respect. So for example, also with people who are working on the exporting side, they've asked me, can you help the exporters on the exporting side? And I said, well, you know, I'm a one-woman show. I cannot help everyone or support everyone, nor would it be wise of me to get involved in everything. So what I'm doing at the moment is teaching people how to import, also making sure that the suppliers and the importers understand each other. So that's the gap I want to bridge now. That is why I have also started to do a survey with the suppliers, and I'm feeding back. I want to feed back what their challenges is or what they're not happy about with the importers. Some may see challenges with the importers, you know, and I'm going to feed that back. So I'm going to feed the information into both directions. That's what I can do. But then, yes, what about, for example, like centers, you know, warehouses, where we could have some of the product in New York City, you know, or in Boston, or in London, or in Belgium, and the products would be sitting there, and then you are acquiring the sample or the product from there. The space is huge. The space is huge. Now, let's get together, but we cannot get together as strangers. And, you know, right now we don't really know each other. So the importing program is one way to get together, because that's what I mentioned. You have the community also, but then you also need to decide which is the small role you play in this. Everyone can play a small role, and it's difficult to take on the entire giant. The elephant is an elephant. It's a beautiful elephant. Elephants are my favorite animals, by the way. Okay, so let's thank you so much for the input, Kay. So next question, it was, hold on, Savio, I can see you, but there was another gentleman, Saverio first.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Saverio and then Savio. You have very similar names. Saverio, can you hear me? No, he can't. Savio, go ahead.
All right. I live here in the Midwest in Des Moines, Iowa, in the United States, and I'm a Liberian by origin, and I'm a naturalized American. And I've been following your programs when you went to Rwanda with the cassava flour thing, and I talked to a couple of supermarket chains that bake their own bread. And I founded my own company called Grandma Logistics. So what I want to do is to import and to do distribution. My problem here is, as those of us that live in the diaspora who are of African origin, it's very hard for us to get some loans that will enable us to start, a real, business. So for example, to have a warehouse space, all of that is logistics, is money. What my question to you is, what are you doing from your end, since you have the experience here, to talk to African banking system, especially countries that produce this stuff, to kind of, create an opportunity that businesses in the diaspora that are willing to import African products be able to have access to loan from home. We are African, we just happen to live here in the West. So this will be like a big partnership. What are you doing about that one?
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna, because people are jumping the system. Thank you so much, Savio, for this. And yes, I absolutely hear you. So one step that I've taken is I've actually registered this year for the Intra-African Trade Fair. And the Intra-African Trade Fair is the biggest trade expo on the continent. It was started by the African Development Bank and the Import-Export Bank 2 years ago. The first one, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. The first one was in Egypt. And now it was supposed to be in Kigali, Rwanda in September. Now it has been postponed because of the pandemic, but I invested $5,000 US to have a booth there. Now, the reason why I wanted a booth there was not because I'm not importing or exporting myself, but exactly for what you said in regards to creating relationships with people who are trading on the continent, with the Import-Export Bank people, African Development Bank, government officers who are in charge of exports. And with some of them I'm dealing already. We have an entire database of all the export promotion councils of every single African country, those who have export promotion councils, I should say. And so I'm absolutely thinking in wider terms and see, what can come in. So we're building this into a very valuable program. But then again, there's so much only I can do. I'm a one-woman show and I'm a mom. And for the moms among you, you know what that means. So it also, I have limits, and I'm a trainer. I'm an Africa business trainer. So I also have a big chunk where I'm training on other industries. But you can see just how large the opportunity is. And if you have skills, as I said, with design, with marketing, with sales, supply chain, certification, so many aspects, you can also come in as an expert in general, I mean, So who goes next, please? Let's see who I can see. There's several pages. Okay, so it's Marta, Rainel, Ayodele, yes, and Sam. All right. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Dr. Hannah. Thank you very much for this program. It's really eye-opening for me, and I guess for everybody. Okay, my main topic I want to ask is, I used to work in hotels for about 30 years in reception, reservation, switchboard, and housekeeping. And I know I wanted to go to that direction. Now, if I want to import for these products, I'm thinking also for the housekeeping and also for the restaurant. Can I do the combination, or because I know well, because this is hotel, so it might be you can do the food side of it, like the teas and coffees, and also with natural products. So
okay, sorry. So I'm going to mute you, Marta. I got your question, and sorry, the quality of the sound wasn't really good. And happy birthday, by the way. I don't know who has birthday in your family, but happy birthday. Okay, so all the best. So here's what I would say, Marta. This is very interesting. The hotel industry. This is a big industry, and let me actually share something. When we were in New York City earlier this year, and where I did my Africa Business Bootcamp training, I do it in London and the US twice a year, live. And so I was there actually, you will not believe it, but this is like hours before the governor said maximum people that can gather are 10 people. And so anyway, it was just before all the planes and everything shut down. But here's the thing, in that hotel where we were in New York City, the restaurant manager, he's African. I think he was from Zambia, and he knows us from last year also. And then I talked to him about, just to get more insights into the hotel industry and how people could approach the hotel industry. And he said, we get people offering us products all the time, and we're very open to it. He said they just walk in sometimes with their products offering it, and he said just a few days ago we had someone offering wine and then someone offering coffee. And he said, and guess what? We're actually testing them because we want change in our menu, we want improvements, so he said people are welcome and it's very easy to offer. So what I would say, since you have connections with the hotel industry already, I would start with the with food and beverage. I think it's a little bit easier for the hotel industry, because when it comes to natural skincare, they usually have this small packaged kind of formats, and they still come out cheaper out of China, I would say, and Africa doesn't have that yet. However, you could import the ingredients to the US and then have it packaged into the small formats, but you need large quantities in order to compete. And so I would start with the food. All right, so next was Rainel. Or whoever, whoever's faster. Go ahead, Idole. Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry, my name is Ayodele.
Hello.
My question is, already seeing far to the end. Is there any strategy put in place by back in Africa to help for those that are intending to come on board, not to eventually stuff the market of wherever you find yourself? For instance, say in North America, because this is going to help in us having a thick research on the choice of product. Say, okay, is there anything to stop? Say, okay, somebody's already on this product to certain part of North America, and thereby we might not need to okay you with so that eventually we don't just find ourselves in the same kind of product, in the same kind of
good point. Thank you so much. That's a great idea. Yes, I mean, to some extent it's happening just when we communicate with our importing group, I haven't really organized that information, I have to say. And then also everyone may get different responses, because again, also coffee is not just coffee. There's coffee, then there's organic coffee, then there's fair traded coffee, then there's East African coffee, West African coffee, although there's less. So it will be very difficult to actually make a rule around that or organize that. But when we come together, absolutely. So what I found, for example, as I said, I tried the gluten-free cassava flour and the tea. I tried that in Germany for a few weeks, where I said I had the first expression of interest in 13 days. And both were for the gluten-free cassava flour. So I felt in my communication that it was easier to sell the gluten-free cassava flour because it's a huge trending upcoming market, and people do not know cassava flour, and they're like, oh, this is gluten-free, what can we do with it? So that was easier for me to sell here or get an expression of interest than compared to the tea, for example, where especially in Germany, tea is very competitive. People drink a lot of tea and coffee, so both are very competitive. So it was easier. So that is valuable information that we can pass on among our importers. Having said that, one of our mentors, he also has a coffee shop. So he imports coffee from Tanzania, but he also has a coffee shop. And he, for example, said in his city, Starbucks opened, and it did not just open in the city. Actually, it opened in his street or neighborhood very close by. And then I said to him, I said, "Oh wow, you know, I mean, this is huge competition coming in for your new startup." And he said, "Oh no, Harnett, you know, not at all. Don't worry, because my clients, they want the consumer farmer connection. They want to connect to the African farmer, and I can provide that. Starbucks can't. My clients are the kind of people who do not want to go to Starbucks." So it was very interesting. He said, I don't see Starbucks at my competition, because he had very, very much, you know, narrowed down his ideal client base, and he has marketed his product to a certain consumer base, used certain communication. And so, as you can see, there are a lot of aspects are coming in. But yes, we're doing it. And what you've suggested, we're informing each other, but not in an organized way, just when we come together. Okay, who is next? Whoever I have called. Go ahead. It was, if I had called your name, go ahead. So who is next? We'll do another round. Who is waving? No one? All right. Okay, so then I take people in the, okay, Miriam, and then iPhone, you put up your hand, iPhone, and then Nyasha. Miriam, iPhone, Nyasha, and then Adalbert. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Miriam. I'm based in South London. My business is mainly in property, and I also do supported living, which is supporting young vulnerable adults for various reasons. Anyway, I was interested in mainly in property, in traveling. I was due to travel to Gambia in April. Obviously, you know, everything was locked down and my trip was cancelled. But what I was kind of interested in replicating my business model here that I use here also in Africa. So I was looking at you know, the different countries that I wanted to replicate, and obviously due to lockdown.
Miriam, may I come in? Sorry. So is this in regards to real estate?
So not real estate, but also I have been interested in I've been looking at products in terms of, obviously I'm an entrepreneur, so it's not just property that I'm into, but also in encouraging some of my young people in various business opportunities. One of them in being selling products as opposed to buying products from people who don't like us. You know, as opposed to buying products from people who don't like doing business with us. So I was looking for suppliers actually, because I was wanting to start an online shop to, you know, sell various mainly hair and beauty products, different seasonings, typical items that we buy from shops here in, obviously I'm based in London, but there are.
So Miriam, just because I see so many more queuing. So first of all, I think your market, you know, if you're based in London, you have an excellent market at your doorstep. Basically, there's a lot of requests for the kind of products we discussed today. And again, you can start online as you have suggested, or as I have suggested, start rather selling to bigger buyers and do the online shop on as a side hustle. You know, I would start that way. And the beauty with that is that, let's say, even if you were planning to move or you're traveling to the Gambia and back and forth, your business, especially if you are an import agent, you can still lead it from the Gambia, because you just need to follow up on the phone calls and the emails as an import agent where you get commission. So I would start with that business model, and it's highly flexible and allows you also, you know, to try it out. That's the way how I would start this, and London is fantastic for that. I hope that was helpful. So iPhone, Nyasha, Adalbert, grab your microphones.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Walter Mariam. I'm from Washington, D.C. area, originally from Eritrea. I'm in the healthcare field here in Washington, D.C. area, and I really love your presentation, and it's really wonderful. I really am interested, but the only question is, it's very hard for me to leave my job, to take off to do any kind of business in my home continent. Is there any way that is possible that we can do business from here and I guess from the somewhere in Africa. My issue, like I said, is how can I do, person like me, how can I do business in Africa without traveling too much with a
Okay,
limited
thank
amount
you.
of time?
Yes, thank you. And actually, you were not among the ones I called, but nevertheless,
I'm
you
so
were.
sorry.
Don't
You say
worry.
iPhone, and I have
You were
iPhone.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was you then. Okay, you were a go-getter. Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
I like go-getters. Okay, so here's what I would suggest. First of all, the business model that we discussed today was one suggestion. You know, it's actually exactly that. It's ideal for the African diaspora because you do not need to leave your wherever you're based and relocate to Africa. That's why we wrapped an entire program around this. And it can be started while you're still on your job. In fact, all of our mentors and most of our importers are still in a job, and they have managed to do it as a side hustle, let's say, so on the side, while they were still in their jobs, and then replacing their jobs. Usually, you know, as I said, from the mentors that we have, it took them about 12 to 18 months in. Having said that, the ones that those created all their own brands, or Alan, he started his own coffee shop, so a lot more work went into it. So I believe you can actually replace it much faster if you're on it and you're just doing the agent and you get a large order. I think it could be, you know, just a few months if you really focus. So as for other business models, well, Mariam, yes, there are a few, and this is what I specialize on. I specialize on business models for the African diaspora, and there are business models that you can start from abroad, and others you have to be on the continent. I teach both. So today we're just focusing on importing. Having said that, I hope you're in my email list. If not, jump onto my website, africajumpstart.com. africajumpstart.com. Get into my email list, because I will have more free web classes on just how to do business with Africa and to set up other business models across industries. So there will be more in there for you. Today, we're just talking about the importing model. All right, I hope that was helpful. Then Nyasha and Adalbert. Go ahead. Nyasha, Adalbert, Yak.
Hello?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, my English is not that, so please be patient.
We are.
Okay, I tried before network marketing. I wasn't really that successful in that. And my question is also, I am also in your academy, Jumpstart Academy. And do I have to pay them both? Or can I just change? And one last thing, I also booked a one-on-one coaching with you.
All right, Nyasha, when it comes, I hear you. I hear you.
Okay.
I just want to stay on the importing, but write me an email. I will quickly respond to the first question, because others may have that question as well, Nyasha. And I thought your name sounded familiar to me. Beautiful, beautiful name, by the way. So first question, the academy, if you are in the academy, yes, of course you can switch, or you can, in the academy, you get always like a discount on the other programs that you have, we have. So you can get in onto discount and do both programs, because in the academy we teach how to do business, and it's very different from what we teach in the importing program, and therefore, you know, you will get very different value from both. But please email me again. I'll respond to you if you email me now or resend the email. I'll respond to you after this live session, okay? All right, so who goes next? Adalbert, Yak? Adalbert, Yak, Emmanuel, Benita. Go ahead, and Bright, I can see you. Bright, yes, please, go ahead. Unmute your microphone. Whoever goes faster in business, yes, please. You know, the rule of business is that whoever is visible and is faster wins. If you wait too long, someone else, go ahead. Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening to everyone as well, and most especially you. And before I go, then I also met Mr. outside here, and he has been a good friend to me since. Well, to my question, I'm on a business research on a baobab product here. I've been in couple supermarkets here in Accra, and I haven't found a single product on any of the shops that I've been in. So I don't know who, if I start producing the baobab powder, who are my buyers?
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so you want to produce the baobab powder, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So here's what I would suggest, and I'm going to mute so we have a better audio, Bright. So here's what I would suggest. First of all, when you produce a product for the first time or you process it for a first time, you will not have the quality or quantity to export straight away. So important is that you start, I think you said you're in Accra, that you start with your local city and market. Then it is important that you understand who would buy your product. First of all, when it comes to baobab powder, it is one of the best supplements to boost your immune system, all right? Because it has a very high vitamin C, high vitamin C content, I wanted to say, sorry. And so, look, right now we're in a time where we go through a pandemic, and a lot of people care about their health more, they're worried, and they want to boost their immune system. So one thing I would do, Bright, is I wouldn't go around and just say baobab powder, baobab powder, baobab powder, because some people may not know the value of baobab powder. So what I would do instead is I would say, who is there who would want to naturally boost their immune system, not with some kind of chemicals or pharmaceuticals, but naturally, because we're going through a pandemic. Who would want to boost their immune system? And then you offer baobab powder. So the ones who would be among your best clients, in Accra would be the expats, the diaspora, the foreigners, and the higher earners in Accra. So locals who maybe have been, they have the spending power to buy these supplements, and they have been in touch with this kind of wellness and alternative medicine industry in the West. So I would think, where do they hang out? And I would start, seeking where they hang out and how you can sell it through some of them. And then look if there are shops, for example, wellness shops in Accra, or what is it called? Gyms, because in gyms you will have people that care about their health. That's why they're going to gyms. Maybe you could have partnerships with some of these gym centers. And then also try some of the smaller supermarkets. Important is that you start small, because you do not have the quantity and quality yet when you start out for the very first time. So start selling to individuals, start selling to gyms, wellness centers, and smaller supermarkets. And as I said, communicate it the right way. Don't sell baobab powder, sell alternative supplements to boost your immune system during a pandemic. All right, so who goes next? Whoever I've called. Okay, I can see Oluvi, I can see Jason, Emmanuel, Oladipo. Grab the mics, please.
Yeah, I got a question. So let's say we find a supplier. Do you have available agents that can connect us with companies? Like, how does this work? I'm a little bit late to the party, but can you explain it to me?
About to say, I was about to say you're late to the party. You can watch my program again on YouTube. Yes, because that was like an entire session on how to do it. And
Yeah, my apologies.
no, that's fine, Jason. But what you can do, because I'm streaming live on YouTube, so just go to my YouTube channel and you can watch the whole program. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Okay, next. So I'll take about, yes, please, Oluvi. I'll take about 4 or 5 more, because it's evening. My kids are, as always, somewhere outside, and they need to be fed. Go ahead.
Foxy in New York. Nice seeing everyone again. Quick question. How frequent are flights coming from Africa, bringing products especially in this COVID-19 era. What do you know about that?
Yes, Olivia, you were in my seminar, right?
That's in New York, yes.
Okay, mute everyone. Okay, yeah, I thought you look familiar to me. Okay, fantastic. All right, so yes, so Eluvi, yes, as you've seen, I mean, when it comes to food trade, you know, the flights, the cargo flights are still very much happening. And again, I've showed earlier in the program that some of the African airlines, you know, Ethiopian Airlines and Kenya Airways, for example, they're actually putting the cargo of the food items into the passenger seats because they didn't have as many cargo planes. And now they won't be bailed out by their governments. The governments have probably not enough money to bail them out. I don't know, or it's not a priority, but they needed to quickly rethink to make sure, you know, they're not going out of business. And now they have these passengers flights turned into cargo flights. So you can see, yes, absolutely, it's happening. All right. So, and it's beautiful. I love that creativity, right? I mean, we had passengers there. Let's put fruits and vegetables into the seats. I love it. Go ahead. Who goes next? I take 4 more.
Yes, I know you didn't call me, but I have important conversation. I've been following you maybe like 2 years now, but
Okay,
I'm
Joseph,
gonna be quick and fast.
Joseph, absolutely. I'll take you. I like go-getter attitude, although jumping the queue is something else. But hold on, I go back to you. Who else did I call out earlier on? Who else did I call out? Yeah, Sam, I called you out, but no one else is actually raising their hands, and you're not fast enough. Okay, so go ahead, Joseph, and then Sam.
This is my question. I did some investment, actually opened a company in Africa. I live in US. I love my job that I'm doing here on the engineering side. I live actually in Michigan. And what I was trying to do is I put just one of your book online, the one you showed earlier. You were showing all the country and the risk because I'm from Cameroon, so I choose to do the business there. And I mean, I don't want to say is a lost money because we're on the procedure for people that I built entire house, rented out for company that right now they're not paying. So I'm open to be able to do investment in a different African country. The bad thing is that I've never traveled different African country than Cameroon. So I want to know if you have like a public investment back up by government of those countries.
Sorry that I come in, and I hear you, and I would love to answer this program. I just want to do it on the importing. So what I will have soon is a web class just generally on doing business in Africa in general. So we can have just general questions from different industries and different countries. Are you in my email list?
I just subscribed recently. I lost contact because
That's fantastic. So if you're in my email list, you will get the notification about our next free web class. May happen, you know, in maybe 2-3 weeks, something like that. And then I will, I will attend all sorts of questions. Today, I just wanted to focus on trade and imports, if that's okay. All right. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So everyone else that I've mentioned, if I haven't called your name, please do not jump the queue. So I've called Sam, Emmanuel, Oladipo, Yota, Bahit, the man, Joseph, Nathaniel, okay, Benita and Galaxy.
Hello, this is the man. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hi, how are you? I've been following your program in the last 6 weeks. What a wonderful job you're doing. So actually what I'm into is IT. So my work is mainly building platform. A gentleman, and part of the thing I'm looking at is building a platform like Amazon or Alibaba for Africa. So I'm not sure, is there a way that I can partner with you since you have this wealth of knowledge?
Yes, the man, thank you so much for your question. Now, if you remember, you know, and I love absolutely, you know, to come together. In fact, you know, one of our, as I said, one of our trainees, he's now my colleague, he's a mentor, because I believe in in teaching and connecting and everything. But if you've also heard me, I've mentioned in the beginning of this program, you know, how to find reliable partners. And this is part of my teaching. Part of my teaching also in my programs is how do you find reliable and professional partners? And you never find them on the plane or in a Zoom hangout or you know, on just in the public, and then you jump onto a partnership. Important is that you meet each other on a platform where you know you can start doing business together and getting to know each other. So what I would say is maybe introduce yourself by email, you know, and we can see. But what is the challenge for me is I get inquiries like that from across the globe because of the nature of my business. And unfortunately, I can't attend to all these inquiries for partnerships and networks and so on, you know. And I also do not know the people behind it. Right now, I have the man. You didn't even share your face or your name. But nevertheless, write me an email. I would love to hear from you. All right, so go ahead. Who goes next, please? Whoever I called.
Yoda?
Yes, please.
This is okay.
Yes, please. Okay, who goes next? Whoever I have called, who goes next?
Hello?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go ahead. Bahit, go ahead. And then
Okay.
Yota.
Okay. Hey, Harunet. Yeah, first of all, thank you so much. Yeah, I have a question about the training. First, my question is, how long is the training? I guess it's 6 months, yeah?
Oh, no, the training itself is 12 modules. You can finish the 12 modules in a day, or you can finish it in 6 months. Oh, I'm going to mute everyone. Or you know, it's up to you how fast you do it. The program itself is lifetime access. And it's really up to every single one here how fast you will be implementing it. And I'm sharing, by the way, the link again for those of you who still want to join our Importing from Africa program. For those of you on YouTube, I'll join it after the live session. Go back to my YouTube channel to get the link. So was there another question, Barit? Go, take the microphone again, Barit, please. Barit, I have muted you because of the noise, the background noise I got. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, and do you have a personal mentor, you know?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, personal mentor, you know, personal.
Yes,
mentor.
well, in our program, we have three mentors, and then there's myself. And we will get guest speakers as well, you know, who just come in. I'm actually trying to get one of the biggest African importers in the UK to speak to our importers. So yes, we do have mentors that you will be meeting live once a month. Okay.
Okay, once a month. Okay. 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 Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right. Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, based on your experience with this program, do one need to have a license or register a business in America in order to be an agent?
Okay, sure. Here's the thing. Yes, if you start doing business, you do need a business license. Absolutely. What you do not need as an agent is an import-export license. That you only need if you become a distributor or you start your own brand. So as an agent, you also do not need to have the business registration straight away. You can start inquiring for samples and then make phone calls, but you should have at one point a registered business because you're going to earn a commission and you'll be in business. All right, who goes next, please? Whoever I have called out.
Yota?
Yes, please, Yota, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Hanet, for the great job you are doing.
Thank you.
My question is concern the supplier you were speaking about. the reliable supplier in your platform. So I would like to know if they already have experience with Germany, because as you know, Germany is known to have very hard regulation concerning the importation, especially for food products.
Okay, wonderful. And who is the little one there? It's so sweet. Yours. I love when kids join, you know. I always say I teach my kids also from now on to do business. So it's great. Little one, yeah? All right. So here's the thing. The Germany is part of the European Union. So I'm gonna mute everyone. Jota, Germany is part of the European Union. And yes, we do have most of our suppliers have exported to the European Union before. So it may not be Germany, it may be Belgium or UK or something, but that means that the certification will still count in Germany as well. Okay, I hope that was, okay, I'm gonna take 2 more, and I know there's so many more questions, but my children are hungry and they're still roaming around in the neighborhood at 8 p.m.
Hello,
Okay.
Dr. Harnett.
Yes, please, who is this?
Yeah, Diris to me. How you doing, Umay?
Okay, Galaxy,
Umay
okay, okay.
go get it,
Wonderful.
right?
Yes, go ahead, please, Umay.
Yeah. I got a question, Dr. Harnett. For instance, there are so many things that can be imported from Africa to the US. I live in the US, to the US, or also to the European Unions, anywhere in the world. But as at the fact of so many products in Africa that can be food or different items, so if we can have, do you have any kind of list of producers of different items, so we can see what can be imported here in US, or I live here in US, what can be imported in US, or
Yeah.
also what can be imported in the European Union, so as to be able to choose,
Yeah.
this is the person who produced this, so we can contact them directly. Do you have that kind of
Yeah,
list?
we have a list in the program, but I also mentioned, actually I mentioned most of it in the training. So let me actually repeat some. Oops, sorry, I unmuted everyone by mistake. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So so let me name a few for you. You know, there's obviously there's coffee and tea. Then there is superfoods, which are really trending, especially, you know, the superfoods and supplements. They are fast trending right now, especially with the COVID-19, because people are so much more health aware. So, you know, the superfoods would be the baobab, moringa, all sorts of superfoods that you don't even know yet that exist. The ones that we've added from Namibia a few days ago, they were oils, natural oils. I have never heard these oils before. They're unique to the desert of Namibia. It's amazing, you know, we have them on our platform now. So natural skincare products, oils, butters are fast trending. Then something like Gamma Arabica. Okay, mute everyone. Don't unmute yourselves, please. Gamma Arabica is additives that will be used in the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry. Then there's beeswax also, similarly, that is being used for both industries. So yeah, these are the, you know, and gluten-free cassava flour. Gluten-free is very, especially if you're in the United States, because guess what? In the United States, guys, you're so behind to the European market when it comes to gluten-free products. There's hardly anything out there. So I think gluten-free is absolutely going to be a winner in the US. I hope that answered it. Okay, I'll take one more. Oh yeah, okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
So did you answer my question as yes when I say, do you have a list of people that, for instance, I can try to contact you through email?
Buyer list.
So
No,
not a buyer list, but producers.
Yes, absolutely.
Who
Oh,
are
you also came late. Yes.
Who are credible, that I can that you have their list. So if we find a market here, that will be
absolutely. We can tell you came a little bit late to the program because
yes, you're right.
Yes,
I came late.
Yes. but don't worry. what I would suggest also to you is that you go back to my YouTube channel. You can watch the entire program, and the answer to that is yes, absolutely. I've created a marketplace with these suppliers that will be part of the program. Okay. All right. Now, last one. I'm taking one last. Who goes last? A sister. A sister. A sister.
Me.
Okay. Who's that?
Anna.
Okay, Anna, go ahead. Hold on.
Oh, thank
Go
you.
ahead, Anna, please. Yes, please. I said a sister, and you were
Yes.
grabbing the microphone. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm talking from Portugal, and I'm very interested in your course because I understand that we are going to learn a lot of things. My question now is, to become an agent, how can I know what fee I will ask for myself as commissions?
Right.
For instance, for coffee selling or cassava powder, whatever.
Okay, very good question. Very good question, Anna. So here's what I would say. Usually, the suppliers in Africa have already, contracts, because they have several agents across the world, and they have like a template for a contract. So they would send you that, and the commission fee is usually, stated in the contract. You can of course discuss that, but it would be stated in the contract from their end what they suggest, because they are used to it and they have other agents. Usually what's normal is something between 5 to 10%. 10%, but that is for bulk products usually. You can get with some of the, if you're reselling brands, you can get up to 15% if you're reselling someone else's brand. But if you get 5, 6, or even up to 10%, that is actually really good, and it is common.
Are you going to teach that in the course, how to do the contract with the sellers?
Yeah, we have received. I did a survey among our importers, and that was, that was a suggestion. So yes, we can definitely do that. We also have, some of our importers who have done that process, the mentors, and they can teach you. I don't know if I will put together a different module on that, but we have the importers who have gone through that. Like Ate, he has contracts with 6, 8 different companies. So he has gone through that process of putting together the contract. And so we have the right teachers who can show you how to do it when you get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right, Anna, we look forward to welcoming you. And
thank you.
And everyone else. So I know there's so many more questions as always, but we're coming to an end, and my kids need to be fed. And I would like to thank you, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, again, once more, for all your time, for your trust, for your professionalism, for your, sticking to the program almost until the very end. We've been here over 3 hours, and the majority of you are still there. So this is absolutely fantastic. As I said, this is a very unique time. Yes, we're in the middle of the pandemic, but a pandemic, bears both risk and opportunity. On top of that, we see the supply chains across the world changing and shifting. I believe that Africa will take on, a new role in that. The right timing is for us to get in right now. And for those of us, who very often stand on the sidelines and we're not happy with what's happening to our communities across the world, including inside of Africa, because that's where I'm very active, okay? And that's what, there's so much injustice happening across the world. It is for us to kind of rewrite that narrative, and we cannot do so by just observing or complaining. We need to get in our own humble ways. And therefore, I urge all of you to start an African business in whatever industry you think is right for you. Start building to replace the old with the new. It is up to us, the new generation, to get rid of some of the old structures that do not serve us, and to some extent even exploit us and oppress us. And here we go. We need to build. This is today just one opportunity for you that you can take on. If you feel that's right, we are very happy for you to join us. And I will share it one more time, the link to join our program. If you're thinking that the importing is not right for you, again, we'll meet in a few weeks and I will share other opportunities across the African continent that you can take on. Important is that we start walking the talk. All right, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, I'm going to unmute everyone and goodbye and stay safe, healthy and well. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.